Easier for the mic runners, easier for the speakers. Cool? How are you guys feeling? Okay, good. How are you guys feeling? Okay. All right, this is the final day of AI Summit, huh? So we touched a lot about the transformative power of AI. And yesterday was all about, how can you explore your creativity using the powers of AI and why it's so critical to be an AI evangelist, right? Especially for people who are like CEOs and founders, right? Today is how it all comes together. Today will be about actually what are the things that I can take back? How can I, translate some of the learnings that I've had in my business? How do I actually leave with building my own AI app? And how it all comes together as a unified strategy. Are you guys excited for that? Yeah? Should we kick it off? All right, so to kick it off, I'll invite Vishen on stage. Please give him a huge hand.
Thank you, Gautam. Welcome back to day 3. Now, for those of you who are here on a Sunday, engaged in the mastery of AI, congratulations. This already gives you an edge in life. Your family's probably a little bit disappointed with you, but I'm guessing they're going to be so appreciative when you double your income or when you shave off an hour or 2 of extra work a week so that you can spend more time with your loved ones. So today, we're in for a really advanced day. 3 speakers today, and then I'm going to be doing a closing. Our first speaker is Iman Oubou. And Iman is going to be talking about how to create content at scale using AI. In our world today, everyone is a media company. Even if you're a coach, you're a media company of one. Because of the prominence of social media, you are constantly in an environment where eyeballs are necessary to get your product out. For example, I see Taniel here who runs OA Coffee. And I know that Taniel, even for someone like you as the founder of this coffee company, you want your brand out there. You want people following you on Instagram because it's going to lead to sales. Everyone has to own a media company. AI is making that easier than ever. What we're seeing in our company, Mindvalley, is that the time it takes to produce quality content has been slashed by at least half. And as we go deeper into advanced AI, the time to produce quality content is going to go down even further. Now, Iman's going to teach you how to do that. Then we have Mr. Grateful, Dominic. And Dominic is going to show you how to use AI agents and how he created a community of 200,000 followers that completely changed his life because all of a sudden he went from practically unknown on Instagram to right now one of the most followed AI personalities on Instagram in a matter of a few months. And then Vykintas, Mindvalley's chief AI evangelist, is going to be up here. And he's going to attempt to take you through something that many of you just 1 day ago would think was impossible. He's going to show you how to develop your first AI-powered app in 60 minutes flat. Now, we can't guarantee that all of you will pull this off, but I do guarantee this. All of you will understand that inside you, there is a coder. There's someone who can think in terms of computational thinking. And just attempting to do this will change the way you approach any type of business problem in your life. I build my own apps using Airtable for everything as simple as planning what movies I want to watch with my kids to organizing a dinner party. And it's done in minutes. And it makes you so much more effective. When people ask me, Vishen, how do you do so many things at once? It's because I have probably 45 Airtables powering my life and my brain. So Vykintas is going to take you through that. Beyond just Airtable, you're going to learn how to use Airtable as a data structure to connect it to tools that actually create apps. And then as we come to the end of the summit, I'm going to show you how you can enroll in Mindvalley's 50-hour AI training. When we announced it yesterday, already half the seats have been filled up. So we're so excited. We have almost 300 people already in the training, which has 500 seats. And we think it'll be probably sold out before the end of today as we wrap up this summit. So for the 300 of you who have signed up for a 50-hour training that makes you a chief AI evangelist like Vykintas, stay tuned towards the end and you'll understand the curriculum, how the training works, and how you can participate too. So without further ado, let me bring up our first speaker. But again, before we begin, I want to hear your voices. I want to understand what are the pending questions in your head so that Iman, myself, Vykintas, and Dominic can try to adapt our conversations today to your questions. So mic runners, get ready. We're going to look at questions here from our live audience. Raise your hand if you have a question. This gentleman right in front.
How to use AI to improve recurring revenue sales in services.
Awesome. How to use AI to improve recurring revenue sales in your service as well. When you learn about how to produce content at scale, how to use ChatGPT and other tools for copywriting, when you learn how to build a following through Dominic, you'll start seeing glimpses of how you can do that, how to bring more followers and more customers by improving the efficacy of your marketing and your reach through AI. So that will be covered today. At least you'll get some insights on it. Next question. So mic runners, I need you to move faster.
Sorry. I'm really interested in how to avoid too much bias infiltrating the AI that I'm using to keep the conscious human side.
Got it. Noted. Okay, so AI lecturers, let's keep that in mind.
How to become a subject matter expert in your field as a coach and entrepreneur.
Brilliant question. How to become a subject matter expert in your field. I think you'll get insights from that from both Iman and Dominic. Next. Felipe, right here in the front row.
Hi, so since AI is changing all, like pretty much business field, for a person that is a founder, you know, want to grow a big company, would you think it would be necessary still to raise money? Like if you have to start again, will you like do investment rounds on all of that, or
Right.
you think I will change that?
So let's remember that quote by Peter Diamandis, right? The next billion-dollar company is going to be built by a team of 3. Now what Diamandis means by this is the cost of building a company just plummeted because of AI. And if you're an established startup and you raise money, know that new entrants are going to pop up to challenge you, but they're going to be able to do it at a fraction of the cost it cost you years back. So you better have got your moat together. You probably better, I mean, it's great if you built a brand. One of the reasons why Mindvalley invests so much in brand, because brand is a long-term play, right? But even with what we do, today, someone can create that. We put in so much time creating online courses, right? Today, that time is down by about 30% because of AI. So again, barriers to entry are being broken down. No matter what industry you're in, you have to be accepting of the fact that your competitors are going to be able to catch up faster than ever. So what you have to do is you have to accelerate faster than ever. And AI is what is making this happen. Vadan, did you raise your hand? Yes.
How do professional speakers get more speaking engagements using AI?
That's a very interesting one. Let me think about that. I'd like that too. Vadan, this man right in the front row. This man is a brilliant startup founder.
Thank you. Yeah, I just wanted to, we talked a lot about very interesting things, but I want to understand some of the specific use cases like in healthcare or, you know, where AI works on small data. So not necessarily large data that we've been talking about, but small data sets.
Use cases of AI working on small data. So I think Vykintas might be able to cover some of that, and maybe Iman might be able to cover some of that. Okay, so now let's bring up our first speaker. You guys ready for this? Okay. I'm so excited to introduce Iman Oubou. So Iman is an award-winning entrepreneur, author, published scientist, former beauty queen. Her multidimensional background has allowed her to make significant contributions in various fields from scientific research to business and media. So she established herself as a cancer researcher, then decided to transition to the R&D side of the industry to communication and media that caused her to move to New York, where she embarked on a mission to address gender disparity. In 2017, she launched her media company, Sway, which is a media tech platform. In 2022, she published her book, The Glass Sledge, How to Break Through Self-Sabotage, Embrace Your Power, Create Your Success, which focuses on overcoming internal barriers that hinder personal growth and achievement, teaching professional women how to create success without compromising their authentic self. She went on to become VP of Content at Lovely. And then she noticed how AI was changing the world. And Iman recently is about to launch her new AI company that allows you to create content at scale, to ideate, produce, and publish content. It's not launched yet, but you can sign up on the waitlist at vocable.ai, VOCABLE.ai. It's a company Iman founded with her brother. And Iman has been an influential, sought-out speaker. She has spoken at the Harvard Women in Business Conference, MIT STEM Conference, and Forbes Content Marketing Summit, just to name a few. She was also part of the first ever all-female judge panel at Miss Universe 2018. So give a big, raging round of applause to Iman Oubou.
Working? There we go. All right. How are we feeling today? I need the energy. It's Sunday. We had a long 3 days of summit overload information, so I need to feel the energy. Let's go again. Come on. How are you feeling together? Woo! Yes. There we go. Awesome. So today we're going to be talking about content, a space that I have been a part of for over a decade now, and it's changing super rapidly, especially with all the advancements in AI. And it couldn't have come at a better time because content is truly the lifeblood of every business and every brand. And like Vishen said, today everyone is a creator, everyone is a media company in a way, even if you're just one person running your own show. So content really is the foundation for your business success. And I've seen multiple times people creating content for the sake of creating content because you think you just have to do it because everybody else is doing it. You see your competitors or you see someone who is living the life you want, like an influencer or someone who's a coach, and you want to compete with them, so you think, okay, maybe I'll create content just like them. But you need to really backtrack and figure out your why, because your content strategy has to always match with your business KPIs and your target customer needs. So we're going to talk today about all of that, and also I'm going to show you the process I personally use now using ChatGPT, which makes everything a lot more streamlined. And we'll stick to just ChatGPT for today because everybody's already familiar with it, but there are tons of tools out there that can really help you amplify your workflow. So, are we ready? Okay. All right, so, wait, this is the wrong presentation. This is yesterday's presentation. Technical difficulties.
So Iman, while we're waiting, and I'm sure it'll get the presentation fixed in about 2 minutes, maybe we could answer a couple of questions from the audience on content.
Yes, actually, there were a few that I wanted to answer right away.
Perfect. Would you like to go ahead?
Yes, let me think which one were there. Actually, the question about how do you use AI to get more speaking engagement, that's really interesting because I feel I'm kind of living it right now. And it's more of an indirect way to get more speaking engagement, and it goes back again to content. So let's say you want to be an expert, subject matter expert in AI, which was the case for me. Up until maybe just last year, I never really created any content regarding AI. I never spoke about it before. I knew about it. I definitely studied it a lot, but I never proactively put myself out there as someone who can talk about it. Recently, I started getting more and more passionate. I got more excited because I saw the hype cycle was kind of amplifying. So I decided to start creating some content here and there, figuring out who that content is for, who my audience would be. For me specifically, it would be founders, entrepreneurs, and even businesses who are looking to transform their processes using AI. And I started testing out some content across different channels, LinkedIn, my blog, Instagram, on my stories, to see how it really resonated. And because of that, I started attracting the right opportunities. One, I got an offer, for example, to be a contributor on an AI platform that's writing articles and kind of updating people about all the news. I got invited to speak at Mindvalley, which is amazing. So in a way, you can use content as a vehicle to really attract the opportunities you want. And that's something I want to highlight over and over again during this presentation is you can't create content for the sake of it. You have to have a goal and then align your content strategy with that goal, and the rest will attract to you. So that's how you would use AI in a way. So using AI to create content and attracting the opportunities in speaking engagements.
Thank you, Iman. AV crew, as soon as you have the presentation, just bring it up on the screen. Okay? Do it now, as soon as you have it. So we have a cue.
Do you remember another question?
Yeah, let's do another question. Go ahead.
Yeah, my question is, typically when somebody books a sales call with me, I send them a nurture sequence so that they're warmed up for my closers, and it's a higher conversion rate. And so I'm really curious, before investing time into AI, is there a way that I can warm them up even more so that my salespeople's job is easier using AI? That's a question I'd have.
So right now, the way your funnel is set up is when someone signs up to your website,
Yeah, so they sign up for a call.
For a call, and then they go straight into an email flow that welcomes them.
That's right.
Yes, you definitely should backtrack a little bit, and I think I have a slide on this at the very beginning. But there are 3 stages that your customer should go through: awareness and brand discovery. So that's content that is just to know more about who you are, your brand, what you're doing. Then there is the second one, which will be educational content. So you need to create a little bit more educational content in the form of blog posts, LinkedIn posts, maybe whatever you feel comfortable with. Don't overdo it, obviously. If you're not comfortable with doing videos, then maybe stick to blogs and LinkedIn. If you're more comfortable doing visuals and videos or talking to a camera, then focus on TikTok and YouTube and Instagram. So you have to create the content because that's what's going to drive that email sign up to begin with. And by the time they make it to your funnel, they're already very familiar with your expertise, your services, your brand, so it's an easier and quicker sign up and a quicker conversion because you've already kind of done the work to warm them up. If you just sign them up on an email and they're just discovering about you on email, you're missing a lot of steps. So you're missing a lot of clients that way.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Iman. So the presentation is now up.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
All right, I'll leave this to you.
All right, so actually in 1996, back in the olden days, Bill Gates wrote an interesting article, or I think it was an op-ed, called Content is King, in which he basically highlighted the importance of content and what it's going to play, and the role it's going to play as the internet takes off. And basically he predicted that content, or the internet, is going to be a marketplace of content. And sure enough, my boy Bill was right. Is he ever not, right? So after a few years later, Google would launch its search algorithm, right? And basically they were scraping up content from all over the internet and dishing it out to anyone who uses keywords and keyword sentences or tags to search for content. And basically, with that, attention became the currency of today's economy. And in order to achieve that, you would have to use content. So content became key to fighting for attention. So I've worked with so many businesses and creators and brands across the board, from an agency to creating my own media company and running a bunch of content creators, and then also consulting and working within startups who were using content to market their products and acquire customers. And I've seen businesses and marketers invest more and more millions of dollars and time and resources to create content just to keep up with these search engine algorithms and all the social media algorithms, and basically fight for those eyeballs and try to get or reach as many people as possible in order to really get their brand at the top of every consumer's screen. And it's not easy to do, especially in a very competitive digital landscape. So why is every brand using content marketing, though, to fight for attention? And that brings us back to your question about how, at its core, Content marketing serves to reinforce what we call the theory of the hierarchy of effects. It's an advertising model or a marketing model that basically tells you that you need to drive your customer through these different funnels and stages in order to really maximize and get that easy sale from them. It's not easy to sell a product or a service to someone who doesn't know anything about you, who doesn't trust you, who doesn't feel a connection with you. And the way to do that and achieve that is creating content that engages them and speaks to them. So the 3 stages: 1, your content has to fall under each one of these 3. 1, content has to basically help your customer know about you or know more about you or discover you for the first time. You need content that helps your customer feel something about you, whether that's educational content, inspirational content, emotional content. You just have to really strike that emotional connection with your audience so that they can trust you. And then last, but certainly not least, the most important one is you have to have content that helps your audience do something about it. So take action, whether it's purchasing your product, signing up for your email newsletter, booking a consultation, whatever your goal, your conversion goal might be. So, most importantly, it has to be relevant. You can't just write content that you think you want to write about. You need to know who your audience is and what is relevant to them. What do they need? That way you can craft the right content that is going to be engaging to them. So, because remember, the long-term goal of creating content, especially on the marketing side, not storytelling or writing stories just for fun, but content marketing, the goal is building a strong relationship with your audience that eventually will become your customer. And also to build that, I think someone asked about recurring subscriptions. If you build a very strong relationship with your audience, you can easily achieve recurring because people don't need to be convinced anymore to buy your products. They're already sold. Now you can make that money over and over again. But it takes a really robust content plan and strategy. And thanks to AI, it's become easier to not only create better content faster, but also establish a really robust creative process that helps you scale and sustain that content creation. Because I know for a fact that the biggest challenge when it comes to content creation these days, especially from an organization perspective and even individuals, is the lack of direction and the lack of establishing a process that you can easily scale. A lot of people kind of think last minute, oh, what blog should I write today? Oh, maybe I should write about this today. It's kind of like very last minute thoughts instead of being proactive about your strategy. So today, I want to walk through the different steps that I personally use to create content at scale using ChatGPT, since everyone's familiar with it. And then we can also actually explore some of the prompts that I mentioned a little bit in my last presentation. I remember talking to you guys about AI PRM for ChatGPT. So that's a really, really powerful tool. And if you haven't used it yet, you actually will be blown away by the diversity of prompts that it offers. So you don't even have to think about prompting. You just have to know what you want ChatGPT to do and just go dive right in. Okay, so step 1, I think we kind of briefly touched on this, but any good communication training starts with this phase. Know your audience. I cannot stress that enough. Because any strategy that you develop when it comes to content will be targeted to them. So by creating content that is targeted to the right audience, because you know them well, it's much more likely to build your trust with your audience. And the way to do that is to basically develop audience personas and segments. These personas and segments allow you to break down the most important things about your audience: demographic, age, income, personality, interests, whatever you may be able to find, even pain points, challenges, because that's how you're going to cater your content to them. You want to make sure that your content aligns with their interests, it solves their pain points, it solves their challenges, and is also relevant to their demographic and age group, income bracket, if they can afford the product or not. You have to be able to know all of these about your audience and study that in order to really understand which content will work best with them. So maybe we'll just actually start doing the demo here. So the way I do it too on ChatGPT, there we go, is, first of all, let's backtrack. So this is what AI PRM looks like. This is what my ChatGPT looks like in comparison to the regular one, which is basically just a white screen and then the prompt box at the bottom. So when you download the extension AI PRM for ChatGPT, every time you open ChatGPT, you will be greeted with all these endless prompts that you can explore, and there's exactly about, well, this is my favorite, so let's look. There's about 3,000 prompts that you can search through. Obviously, there's a search button here for anything that you need. But this is what I'm using now these days because I can streamline all of my content development cycle in ChatGPT just using these prompts. And I don't have to think about which prompts to give it in order to get the right audience persona or whatnot. So let's just go through a quick example. So I already put a bunch of stuff in my favorites. And when I type, for example, persona, let's start with this one. Oh, Wi-Fi. Okay. So once you click on a prompt, you will see that here now the prompt is on your prompt box, and it tells you which kind of input you need. So what does your business sell, and where are your clients? So should we take some examples from the audience? Who wants to give me a product or business that they have and where their audiences or clients are? Yeah.
Natural Healing Clinic, and it's focused on patients with diabetes, obesity, and cancer.
Sorry, say that again. Natural, you said?
Natural Healing.
Natural Healing
Clinic.
Clinic.
Yeah.
And what's the region of your clients? Is it here? Is it online?
Until now, face-to-face in UK. And my aim to do it online.
Let's try it. So now it's generating all of the potential user personas or client personas that you would encounter. Even a name, obviously it makes up the name, the age, and then the marital status, and it basically describes as well what they need, where they're residing. So you almost get to know your audience as if you actually put a name and almost face to them to be able to really talk to them using content. You can obviously generate 5 more. So now we have David Wilson. And then here are the data points too. So now you have this information, and what I advise as well is that you create some kind of Google document or a data report where you use a lot of these prompts, pull as much information as you can, copy and paste it in your data center. You have to have a data studio or a data center. Also, you have to have a content studio, which we'll talk about. And then start organizing this strategy together. Start putting together who are your audience members, who they are, what their interests are, and then get as much information as possible. You can also experiment with other prompts to see what you can get. So let's see. You can also have a customer value journey, which we talked about here for emails. But every time you go to AI PRM, you can type in persona, and you have all of these options for prompts. So you can try a few of them until you figure out which one give you the most accurate, the most detailed. You can also mix and match the information and again add it to your data studio. So now you're building up your audience persona, you know a little bit more about them and interests. Let's try this one. Who wants to give me an example here?
I have a mic over here.
Oh, go ahead. So I would need from you just a general knowledge about potential, who you think your customer is.
Well, I'm a money mindset and money management coach. So generally solopreneurs I'd say between the age of 27 and 40. 27, 37. They're not really, they can be nomadic, so they're kind of worldwide, but mostly Canada, US, Germany, and UK have been mostly it. And they're, solopreneurs.
So here, it also gives you their communication preferences, their buying habits, their brand attitudes, and you can also continue asking ChatGPT, for example, give me some data points about their challenges. So now, these challenges could also translate into what you could potentially write about to bring value to educate your customer, your audience, because they're struggling with these challenges. So you're able to educate them and bring that value.
Yeah, in my case, I would kind of say, sorry, that was loud. What are the challenges around money? And then it would kind of give me more of a specific, I guess.
What are the challenges with what?
Around money.
With money? There you go. So now, again, this is valuable information that you can have into your data studio. So when you're running out of topics, or when you think, okay, I want to put together a content calendar, which we're going to do soon here, this is where you go back and say, okay, my ideal customer is struggling with these things. How can I write content or create content that answers their needs so that I can bring value? And then you position yourself at that point as a subject matter expert, so they trust you when they find your content and eventually book a consultation with you, and the rest is history. Okay, so we looked at some examples there. And again, you can continue experimenting as much as you like. There's so many different prompts here for all kinds of audience personas and even audience segmenting as well. So I recommend that you guys get familiar with this and just play around with it. And let's go back to the slides. Okay. All right, so step number 2, and this is mostly important if you are also looking to rank on search engines. A lot of businesses these days get discovered through Google. So when people look up, how do I make money as an entrepreneur who is a nomad? Then hopefully your website comes up, your content comes up, and that's what we call organic traffic. So in order to drive organic traffic, I cannot stress the importance of understanding what your keywords are, because that's how your customer is going to find you on Google. And so basically, there is no content without keywords. Every, obviously, article, every blog post, every LinkedIn post has major keywords in it, but you have to know how to structure them in a specific blog post so you're able to outrank your competition, maybe rank in the first page of Google, and obviously that gives you more visibility to your target customer. A well-rounded content site should target multiple keyword types and length, So basically, if you want your audience to discover your website and channels through search engines, you'll need to be thinking about keywords. I know it's not everybody's forte. It took me a while, and I will say it's still a work in progress for me, unless you're an SEO expert. But keywords and SEO strategy is a little bit challenging, but I think with ChatGPT now, you're able to generate that in one click and at least start working yourself up into understanding it better and better. But having just a subset and major categories of keywords that you're able to then turn into topics and then blog posts and social media posts is really crucial, because otherwise you will just scrambling for ideas around topics that may or may not actually help you drive traffic. So that being said, let's try it. So we'll go back to ChatGPT. And then let's see if I can pull some from my favorites. Okay, so there's a few. So there's keyword research volume. This one, for example, let's see. Can someone give me a keyword that they want to search, or their niche, or their topic? Yep.
Pre-medical students in the United States.
Pre-medical student, but that's not the topic, that's the audience.
How to get into medical school with low scores.
With what?
Low scores.
With low scores. Okay, well, let's hack the system. There's actually, yeah, okay. So basically here, again, this might be a little too complicated for non-SEO people, but what it does here is give you the main keywords that are ranking for that type of topic on search engines, and it also tells you what the keyword difficulty is. So the higher the keyword difficulty is, the higher the competition. So you might, especially getting started, you don't want to compete with a blog that is getting millions and millions of views every day. So you want to tend to start with keywords that have low difficulty, so you're able to actually compete in that space. And a lot of times that's what we call niche keywords. And a lot of times that actually brings a lot more traffic faster, even though the search is not as high. So people are not probably searching for, let's see, an example. So KD is the keyword difficulty, by the way. So it has to be really low. So 25, shadowing. I don't know what that, oh, shadowing. So maybe you're shadowing a doctor, right? So that could be a great potential topic to get started with in order to really start ranking for this topic before you start targeting the high keywords like low scores in medical school. Does that make sense? Okay, so this is more of a keyword search volume. Let's look at a keyword strategy. It's so hard to find things here. Okay, keyword strategy. There we go. So here you can choose how many main categories you like and then subcategories. So let's say I'll just come up with content marketing, for example. So here it does a little bit, it's different from what we saw earlier. It gives you the main categories, but it also gives you title ideas for blog posts potentially, and then a description for each one of them, as well as a search intent, which is basically what would this help your audience do. So one is informative, so this will help inform. There are other search intents like commercial, so this will help sell a product, for example. So this kind of gives you the keywords, but also associates them with potential content topics and blog posts and ideas that you can easily put into your content calendar, which we're gonna tackle next. Okay. Back to slides. So now, we've basically pulled together information around our audience. We've pulled together information about some of the main categories, main keywords that we want to focus on. Hopefully we have those stored somewhere, right, so that we can keep going back to them. And then maybe I can pull my example as well. This is a good time to talk about Airtable, since I know everybody's such a big fan here. But the way I do it, because ChatGPT is, I just don't like the copying and pasting. It's just unfortunate, which is actually why I created Vocable.ai, to really streamline that entire process where you can just add ideas directly to your content planner without having to copy and paste everything. So what I typically do is I just create a content studio on Airtable. This is an example I've done for one of my companies that I'm working with, Loverly, which is a wedding planning platform. And I come up with all the ideas through ChatGPT, and then I add them straight into Airtable. I obviously label the status if it's just an idea, or if it's in writing, or if it's ready to upload. So basically just kind of organizing it a little bit more. And I add here also the verticals. So the verticals are the categories that I basically pulled from ChatGPT's keywords categories for the blog. And then I have a deadline for each one of them, and just the format. So is it a listicle? Is it a how-to? Is it an op-ed? Is it a guide? So it's important to know, because when you're brief, if you have a writer in your team or anyone that you're collaborating with, it's really important to have a brief that details what kind of content they're writing. And every type of content is written differently. Listicles are obviously much more digestible than an opinion editorial, which is more personal storytelling and opinionated, obviously. So yeah, Airtable is really crucial as a way to organize all of your findings into a data studio and a content studio. But then you can now go back to ChatGPT and create a content planner. So there's a 52-week content planner. There's an SEO content planner, a LinkedIn content planner. There's all kinds. So let's try the 52 weeks. That's a lot, but who wants to get a free 52-week content planner? There we go, over there. Now you're all set. You're gonna go home and just get cracking.
Hello?
I don't think it's one. Oh, yeah.
So I would love to have a content planner because I do functional neurology and sports medicine.
Can you speak up? I can't hear.
I would love a content planner on functional neurology and sports medicine.
Functional neurology and sports medicine, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Ooh, and if we can add the word chiropractic in there, that'd be great.
Let's not get carried away. Okay, so now it basically creates 52 weeks worth of, and you can hit continue, obviously, every time it stops, because this is a long. So it's just gonna keep generating, but now you can copy paste some of these. Obviously you can just go through them, see if they make sense to you. Some of them might be repetitive. Again, with everything we're covering here today, it's really important that you're just not copying and pasting and then just pushing it out there. There's that editorial element that you need to have, that creative process. You need to, if you're writing about healthcare, if you're writing about more technical or scientific fields, you definitely need a subject matter expert to make sure that everything is factual. So very much so, this is a draft. Everything that you do with ChatGPT is a draft, but you go through that and you look at what makes sense to you, maybe some stuff you've already written about before. So you kind of just weave out the stuff that doesn't make sense and then take out the stuff that's repetitive. But now you have a good amount of content topics and ideas to add to your content calendar, so you're not starting from scratch. And then that way, 52 weeks from now, you're still not running out of ideas, which is a great thing. Being proactive when it comes to content is key to consistency. Yeah.
I have a question about bringing kind of the previous steps into this step. So if we've done our research on our ideal client and we've done research on keywords, how do we then bring that into now this, creating the content plan so that we can leverage the previous steps?
Yeah, so all the keywords that you're entering here to get your content planner should come from your keyword research. So you start with an overarching topic, was entrepreneurs that are nomads, right? Something like that. And then you basically break that down into categories, subcategories of keywords. Now you have a few keywords that you can keep entering into these content planner prompts to continue getting different kind of contents based on different keywords. So those keywords are the keywords you're entering here where it says keyword. Let me show you. So it says use or insert your keyword. That's where your keywords that you found, copy paste that into here. And you could do it for all of them, most of them, the ones that make sense to you. And basically now you have a diverse set of content ideas based on different keywords. So you're doing this and you repeat it for each keyword that you found. Yeah.
It's not working. Okay, hi, thank you. So I noticed that you were using the keyword search as well as this 52-week content planning. Now my question would be, if a number of people in the same field happen to be using ChatGPT for the 52-week content planning, wouldn't that result in an oversaturation of similar keywords or similar titles being put out? Assuming that someone's using what ChatGPT is suggesting, because I've noticed sometimes I'll try putting similar prompts or the same prompts over and over again, and usually it'll spit out the same answer or very similar answers based on what it finds online. So my question, I guess, to shorten it is, how do you avoid creating oversaturation with certain titles and keywords within your field and really help yourself be set apart in the content that you're creating?
That's a good question. Well, I think that's where the human element comes in. So you need to now do your own research using search engines, using tools like SEMrush, right? So SEMrush allows you to spy on your competition's top performing content. And so there are so many other actual real SEO keyword strategy platforms. SEMrush, RFs is one of them. SEO Surfer, I think, is another one. So there's a few of them. They're a little bit more complicated to use, but you can probably figure it out watching a tutorial. But this is a good question because that's, again, underscoring where the human element comes into place. And by the way, that's also already happening now where a lot of people write the same content, right? I know some of my competitors, we have similar blogs. So the way I do it is I also do my own research where I go in and put in a keyword and see what are the top performing pages and then avoid writing content that conflicts with that because Google will penalize you if you have two similar headlines that are published in different, or two similar types of content that is published in different domains. That's why I run a media company, so a lot of people would write on sway.com and they would reach out and say, can I publish the same article on Medium or on, glamour.com or whatever? I say no, because we would penalize that. So you could repurpose it, but again, I think that's a good question, but you have to do your own research. But I think we're going to get to a point where it's all going to be generated by AI. So until then, I have no idea what's going to happen. So, okay. So let's also look at another example here, because I know there are some that I played with that had tables and everything that were pretty well organized as well, that I'd love to show you guys. Like get a monthly content calendar. Let's see. So this one breaks it down into the different days and whatnot. There are a few different ones. Also, by the way, this is where you can also play around with GPT's answers and keep asking it to add more. So if you want, let's say, now rewrite this and add a column for meta description. So now you're basically building your own calendar or your own kind of structure based on what you want. And it's very fluid, so it gives you kind of the foundation, and then you get creative with it and see what you want to add in there. Okay, so now we have this plenty of content ideas that we can, again, pull from here and add to Airtable and build out a calendar that makes sense into Airtable. And then we'll go back to the slides. Okay. Also, there are so many other ways, by the way, that you can brainstorm. There are prompts around emails. I know when we talked about email flows, you can actually create different email concepts and email flows that it gives you based on your basically objective. So let's say you want a welcome series, like someone signs up to your newsletter and you want to welcome them and you want to have a whole email series, you can create that and it gives you exactly what you need. Actually, I think I generated that. Can we go back to ChatGPT? I think that one is a really good one to go over, actually, because it creates somewhat of a strategy as well as the copy of it. So email strategy here, that's a great brainstorming. So let's say, what was your email? Yeah. Was it a welcome series? Okay. Welcome series to... Welcome series for my clients. What's the conversion? Do you want them to book a call with you? Do you want them to, yeah, to book a call? Something like that. So now it gives you this huge sequence, the welcome email, the building report, and it tells you also what type of email it is, right? And then it tells you exactly when to send it. So let's say they sign up today. 2 days later, you send a building report type of email, and it tells you the strategy for it. So it's really sophisticated. This actually saved me a lot of time for all of the products that we build. And then here at the bottom, you could say, great, this looks awesome. Now give me the copy for each email. And now it gives you all of it. So you can just copy and paste, boom, now no more excuses. So, but also it's important that you reiterate. So test this out, for example, see how it does with your audience, see how people are responding to it, get some insights, and based on that, try another prompt with a little bit more details. For example, oh, I tried this and my audience seems to engage more with this type of content. Can you create an email series around this? So the more you know, the more detailed the prompt is, and then your strategy will get better and better. But it's always good to implement, test, and iterate. Don't keep the same email chain for 5 years. Okay. Product ideas. Actually, there's a lot of great prompts for that as well. I've created a lot of podcast episode topics and ideas. I've actually created an entire podcast run of show for Loverly's podcast recently, just using ChatGPT, and then I would create a brief and send it to guests. And I remember a guest came back to the CEO and said, this is probably the best guest brief I have ever seen, ever. And then they're like, oh, it's all Iman. And I'm like, yeah, I didn't do anything. It's all ChatGPT. But I didn't tell them that, so. But it's just very sophisticated when, again, you give them the guest bio, you give them the topics that you want to cover, and you say, give me a run of show, and then give me sample questions. Copy paste that into your Google Docs, send it to your guest, and now you have a run of show that everybody's aligned on. It frames the conversation, and it's very much professional. Makes you look good as a brand, makes you look good as a podcaster, and also makes you look like you're prepared. So yeah, there's so many prompts here that you can play with, and a lot of it is around ideation, but also a lot of it is around creation, and then we're going to talk later about analysis and repurposing. So I spent, I mean, there's 3,000 prompts here. I spent probably the better half of this year just diving into every prompt here. I even have put together a spreadsheet And I have a whole, all of these are prompts that I'm using the most. So I basically really encourage everybody to kind of dive deeper into the type of prompts they need, pull those out into a Notion or whatever documents you use, and save them, because you're going to be using them a lot. And when you have that process, it makes it that much easier to just streamline your entire content creation. Okay, back to the slides. Okay, so now comes the fun part, or the obvious part, which I think most people would say they use ChatGPT just for the content creation. How many of you here use it mostly to generate content, not ideate or research? Okay, and the rest doesn't use it at all, or do they use it for ideation? How many do use it for ideation and brainstorming? Great, okay, awesome. So let's explore some of my favorite content creation prompts when it comes to long-form optimized blog posts. It's important that you create, again, those keywords that we talked about need to be well incorporated into the content that you create. So I tend to only use prompts that mention that there is some kind of SEO integration in the content, and they also give you a meta description, so you're able to really rank the page as well. They give you an optimized headline as well, so that's important, because most of the time when you go into ChatGPT and you create your own prompt and say, hey, write me a blog post about content marketing, it's probably not optimized. So it's very important that you make sure that that's in the prompt, but there are so many that are already templated. So let's look at favorites. Okay. This one also says human written, 100% unique. It's an interesting way, just the tone of it, even the format. So let's try it actually. Content. Or actually, does someone give me something better than content marketing? Yep. Hi. Dating energy.
Yeah, dating energy.
Dating, and what is that?
It's it's when you're not necessarily calling in the one, but when you are meeting people for the energy that they have, and you're aligning yourself with what you actually desire to experience, so you can release the limiting belief that it doesn't exist, and you continue to meet new people with higher levels of energy that feel good to you until you find something that really feels good to you.
Wow. Well, I think I'm right there. Okay, there we go. I think it got it. Igniting attraction and connection. Understanding the importance of dating energy, the role of energy in attraction.
Cleaning out the magnet and getting rid of the old roster of people that you keep seeing that you shouldn't, and meeting some new people who you like.
Nurturing
and who like you.
Boundaries. Yeah. Oh, continue. Wow, so it's pretty detailed, and also I like that it's written in with the human element, which is a long form, so you can see it actually gave you an entire outline, which I think is very helpful when you're posting content on blogs. By the way, on search engines, it's always good to have an outline as part of your blog post because it helps you rank better. So that's why I only use prompts that also generate an outline with the actual full content. So this one's pretty good. It's long form. I think you could definitely add some personal touch to it. You can add some storytelling that are, anecdotes from your own experience. And at the bottom, you don't have to use the FAQs. I think it just does it because of SEO. But these FAQs are interesting from a search engine perspective, because let's say someone goes to Google and says, how long does it take to improve your dating energy? It would literally copy and paste that from your article and add it to the first page. You know how you see the quick answers?
Yeah.
So when you have FAQs in your blog post, you're able to rank that way on search engines. So it looks weird because like, well, why do I have FAQs? But then I figured it out. I was like, okay,
How can I get this?
I'll copy and paste it. But you should definitely download AI PRM and then use that. Let's see, I'll give you the name of it. It's called the Human Written 100% Unique Essay Writing.
Okay. Thank you.
And then let's look at another one. So there's one is affiliate optimized content. I'm looking for also the briefing outline creation is interesting. So I know I mentioned quickly about briefs. So briefs are what content creators or content teams create in order to assign a piece of writing to a writer. So basically they detail out as much examples, description, as much detail as possible, information that a writer could take and then use and turn into a piece. So when you ask ChatGPT to create something, can someone give me, someone more creative than me, because I can't come up with topics now. Yeah. Burnout. Are you trying to say something? Okay, so it starts out by giving even the keywords, long tail keywords. So this is basically briefing itself, which I think is really interesting. It doesn't give you right away the actual article, but I like to use this and at the bottom say, okay, I'll continue. So, and then it continues into the outline, and then you say, based on all of this, write me the full article. And I tend to think that that's actually much more precise and detailed when ChatGPT briefs itself on the topic by just giving it a keyword. It details out all the other keywords they need to include, examples, outlines, and then it basically gives you a much better, more detailed article based on all of this. Create a fully optimized article. So there you go. That's just an example, but when you're using the briefing prompt as well. Okay, so another example that's interesting is, let's say you want to create a website about helping people fight burnout, and you're consulting with entrepreneurs or founders who are exhausted. So you can actually come here to the SEO Content Planner, and it will give you a whole strategy around how to build your website, as well as the content that should go in it in each page in order for that website to start ranking quickly using the keywords. So let's say, describe your business. Consulting or coaching services for burnt out entrepreneurs. So now it tells you all the pages you should include in your website, as well as the keywords that need to go in them and the outline. And then the blog post ideas that you need to launch your website with so you can start ranking right away. And now you can take this and say, based on all of this, create a content planner or create the first article, create the first full article, but you can also create a full page of copy. So let's say, based on this, the full copy for the About page. So now you have your About page copy ready to be edited and input. Okay. All right, so now we've covered the content creation part of it. And then another great way I use also ChatGPT is content analysis. How many of you have input content into ChatGPT to analyze it? Just one? Oh, okay. Just a handful. All right. That's actually one of the most interesting parts I found when, for example, I'm trying to compete with a competitor that has great blogs, and I basically copy and paste the entire blog into ChatGPT and say, okay, analyze this for me. So, and then I would tell it exactly what to analyze. So these are the prompts that I wrote, but you can obviously, there's so many that are also templated on AI PRM. But I like to analyze the topic overview, content format, the tone and voice, the keywords that they used, and SEO sources, content length, and the call to action. And then I would paste my content in there from, let's say Canva's blog or something. And it would basically tell me everything in detail out. And what I would do after that is say, okay, based on all of this, now write me a competitive article that will outrank this article on the same topic. So it's a good way to create that context instead of you kind of going in to be like, okay, I want to write this, and then having to prompt it without giving it that context. If you want to outrank a competitor, just give ChatGPT the actual content, ask it to analyze it on what you want to compete with, and then use that analysis to say, now compete with this. There's also another, we'll go back to ChatGPT. There's another templated one called Outrank. Outrank article. So you can actually paste in your competitor URL and it would crawl that. Let's see if we can pull a blog. The problem with copying and pasting too is there are so many images in between. Oh, you can just do the URL here, okay? So now it's generating an article that directly will compete with this article over here on search engines. It also generates the visuals here that you would need to include. And there we go. Did I hear a question? Oh, yeah.
Also on 4?
4 works with most, yeah, it does, but it's a lot slower. So if you go GPT-4, you do that. But also you have limited tokens with GPT-4, but 3.5 works well as well. I use GPT-4 with plugins mostly.
Perfect, thanks.
Okay, so now you know how you can outrank your competition without having to lift a finger. Yes. Whoa.
Hi. It's me again. Thank you. I have a lot of questions. I'm actually a high school teacher. So one big concern that they have in schools is, of course, plagiarism when it comes to using programs like ChatGPT. So my question would be, not related to schools, but in this situation, how much of the article tends to be similar or using the exact same ideas just in different words compared to the original article that you pulled up? Because otherwise it turns into an issue of you're basically taking articles that other people have written that may have been brilliant articles, which is why they're doing so well, copying their ideas entirely and just having ChatGPT put it into different words so that it also performs well.
Yeah.
So my question would be, how can ChatGPT be used in a more, I would say, creative way in order to still be able to compete with these articles, but without kind of
Yeah.
having similar, very, very similar content?
Yeah, well, I think you could definitely take, this is a first draft. You're not copying this and pasting as it is. You're reading through it. I think you can also add more prompts to ChatGPT and say, okay, now add these kind of anecdotes that are maybe personal to you. So, or maybe switch this out. So you want to give it your own spin. You don't want to copy and paste it completely. But also I would definitely recommend that everything that you generate through any kind of AI that you will put through a plagiarism check. And actually, I think you can even maybe use ChatGPT. It checks its own work, but I don't know how confident I am that it's. But you could say, can you do a plagiarism check on this piece? Oh, no, they're not. But there are now so many, because of the whole AI hype cycle, there's so many more plagiarism platforms and tools. And also there are so many AI detector platforms that you want to make sure that you also go through both of them, because I know for a fact it's only a matter of time until Google tries to penalize AI, heavily AI-generated content. But also just AI, after you get the hang of it, when you start reading a piece, you will see that it was AI generated. It's not, I think, at least for me, I can tell the difference right away. So again, this is kind of like your blueprint. So if you're running through a creative block, or you're not sure what to write about, this is a great way to start. It's a stepping stone, but it's by no means ready to be published. You definitely want to add that element to it and make sure that it's not plagiarized or stealing content from competitors, although they probably are doing it anyway. So,
when you ask it to analyze your own content that you're putting in there, I'm curious, do you know the privacy policies of, like, if you put it in there, does that go into their database that can then be used in other areas around ChatGPT, or is that in like its own little container?
The data so if you put your own content in there.
Every time you write something in here, let's say I have proprietary information that I want to put in a ChatGPT analyze, does that go into their bigger database?
Yes, absolutely. Everything that you put in ChatGPT is fair game. They use it to train that model over and over again. So I suggest that if something is sensitive, do not use ChatGPT. Although Claude is basically trained, it's called constitutional training. So Claude does not do that. Claude does not touch any data that is put by the user. So all the data, there's much bigger data privacy and protection. That's why they started off for businesses mostly, but now they've opened the public beta site for everybody to use. So if you do have any sensitive data, I would suggest to look into models that are constitutionally trained.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm looking at the plans right now for AI or PRM. For someone who's like a solopreneur creating her own content, that's a coach, which plan, I guess, would you recommend to actually get the benefits of?
Which what?
Which plan would you recommend for actually getting the benefits without going kind of too much?
I use the $20 a month plus subscription. So that's, I'm not sure. I know there's more. There's, I think, up to $500. That's probably for businesses and people that are using it heavily. I think the difference is that you probably can't favorite a lot of prompts. Like, there's a limit, and it explains to you exactly. And you can't view the prompt. That's one thing, actually. Thanks for reminding me. But a lot of the AI PRM templated prompts in here, you can actually view, and you can copy and paste it and personalize to your own. So let's look at this real quick. But if you're not a Plus member or a premium subscriber, you cannot see it. So see here, you can click on it, and you can actually, this is the entire prompt. And you will notice these are really, really long prompts. see, that's probably why they're very, very specific and very accurate and good. But people have put a lot of time into creating these. A lot of testing and tweaking goes into it to really find the exact language, the length, and what to include in there. People have even put an entire template in there for ChatGPT to follow. That's how the formatting is so perfect. So you can definitely also explore. I think this is a great way to learn prompting too, is knowing how people have, let's say I wanted to learn about how to outrank an article. Then I pull up the prompt, and then I look at the language. So here, this is how prompting a ChatGPT to outrank looks like. It's a little bit longer than I would have personally probably prompted it, but that's the beauty of it. You just kind of learn, and then you learn a lot of the tricks and tips that other more experts are using to prompt this in a more accurate way. Yeah.
I think this would be the last question.
Yeah. I don't even know what the time is.
Thank you. With regard to content generation that you spoke about earlier, and the other lady who'd asked the question about plagiarism, as an educator, I also wanted to add that you can have your students, like you said, if you teach long enough, you know what is content generated by a human versus an AI. You can ask them to generate, provide the list of prompts that they used as part of the work, as part of your scholastic integrity, academic dishonesty policy. So you actually help them, enable them to distinguish between where the human brain ends and the artificial begins. So they take ownership of what's generated. I just wanted to
chime in. That. That's really good. Yeah, I think it's only a matter of time till school have to definitely find a way to incorporate it. It's kind of like the calculator back then, you know?
Right,
a lot of people
right.
did
And
not
you won't
allow
have
you to
the
use
time,
it.
when you have 25 students,
Yeah.
maybe you won't have the time to go through each prompt.
Yeah.
The fact that the prompt has been provided by the student speaks to ownership, speaks to integrity, speaks to, transparency. And if they're getting better at prompt engineering, then they're also going to get better at customizing the content to their brain versus just copying, pasting off of ChatGPT.
Yeah, I love that. Thanks
Thank
for that.
you.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think we're coming up on time. So now we kind of covered all these different aspects of the content development cycle and just try to use ChatGPT as much as possible to cover all those aspects. But this is basically all I've got for you today. I will also try to share, I don't know, Vishen, maybe you could tell me, but I have a whole list of potential prompts that I'm happy to share with the audience here and send that over as a recap. But just wanted to share some resources. But AI PRM is the holy grail. If you really want to master ChatGPT, just start there. So, yeah. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Iman. And for those of you who are taking pictures of the slides, good job on you, but we'll also figure out how you'll get the access to the presentations. Also, people watching online, there will be a way for you to access the videos and presentations that you're watching. You can ask the team. You can write to support, and you'll figure out a way how. Okay. Are you guys ready for the next session? I don't hear it. Okay. Okay. So the next one. How many of you enjoyed the presentation by Dominic yesterday? Make some noise. Yeah, he's one of the most sought out creative strategies out there right now. His digital media company, Theta, has worked with some of the coolest clients like NFL, TripAdvisor, Nike, and he's helping them with their digital content strategy. And he does some really wild projects. Some of them he mentioned yesterday. His latest one is how to teach you to build $1 million business in 100 days. Wild projects, right? And the other one that I briefly mentioned yesterday is he went on Instagram and said, okay, I'm going to hire ChatGPT 4 as my consultant, social media agent, and every script that it tells me to create videos on, I'll create it. The objective is simple. How do I organically get 100,000 followers? Organically get 100,000 followers. I'll do everything that ChatGPT 4 tells me to. He hit that goal in 22 days. Yes. And and he's going to teach you that process, guide you through that process, how you can apply that in your own life, in your own businesses. Are you guys excited for that? Yeah? Okay, please give a huge, huge welcome to Mr. Grateful on stage.
Hello again, beautiful people. How are you? How many of you were here yesterday? Oh, awesome. Love to see you again. Thank you. Okay, so yes, it's true. I hired AI to be my social media agent successfully, and it worked. I didn't know it was going to work, but it did. And today, I'm going to put you on some massive game. You are about to learn everything that I did. I'm going to take you through my entire workflow, and you're going to see step by step what I was doing so that you can use AI to be your social media agent. Maybe you don't have to do it as publicly as I did, which added some novelty to the whole thing, but you can definitely take some of these principles and some of these methods that I use to help yourself. So if you wouldn't mind, I'm going to plug my computer in so that you can see some of the visuals and the slides that I have prepared for you. Beautiful. Okay, so this is my channel. If you would like to catch up and see where I'm at today. Now, yesterday, we shared some laughs, we shared some tears, we were meditating together. It was a very thoughtful and meaningful experience to me, and I hope to those of you who were here with me. But today is going to be very tactical. It's going to be very tangible. You're going to be able to implement these things immediately, and you're going to want to take notes. You're going to want to have your phones out so that you are able to scan these codes. I'm going to have codes for every tool that I used. I'm going to have step-by-steps up here. I'm going to have prompts. So it's okay to have your phones out, to take notes, so that you're able to write these things down and take pictures, okay? First, I just want to start that I did not start here. There was a beginning to Mr. Grateful, and that beginning was about 5 years of just stagnation. I was at like 3,000 followers for a long time, and I was trying a lot of different things that weren't working, and it was frustrating. I did the whole fashion thing. I was a hype beast for a while. I was spending thousands of dollars on shoes, trying to get likes. It was just pretty unsustainable. I tried doing carousels where I was teaching people things through text. I was trying to make them sync up and learning new tools so every slide would sync up perfectly with the next. This wasn't working either. I think you can see it got 20 likes on there, and all 3 of those are friends, so 17 likes maybe. And then I even tried putting in some of my creative swag. I was sat down on a computer as a kid in front of Photoshop. And this is when Photoshop didn't even have auto-select. You couldn't even, you had to use a pen tool and go around every single thing you wanted to cut out. And I've been practicing that ever since. And I even tried to show off some of those skills. But if you notice, every single one of those pictures right there is of me. At this time, I was very self-focused. I was trying to get likes. My focus was trying to get followers, trying to get likes, trying to show people my face, show them who I was. And it wasn't until I started using AI where I actually became a bit more human and realized that it wasn't about me at all. It was about the people that I was helping. It was about giving you the information that you need to succeed. And then right when that happened, I went from 3,000 to 100,000 in the first 22 days. And then now today I'm at about 238,000 followers. Thanks. So this is the workflow that I use to do that. Now, I'm going to go through every single one of these steps with you in the upcoming slides, but you can definitely take a picture of that if you'd like to integrate it into your own workflow. So training GPT is the thing that I got asked about most in the very beginning, because my very first post was about launching Agent GPT. I call it Agent GPT because I hired it as my social media agent. And the very first idea that it gave me when I asked it for a content idea was terrible. It didn't align with me. It didn't speak to me. It wasn't in my brand voice. It was not personalized to me at all. If I were to have made the post, it would have been a curveball. It would have come from left field to all of my followers. They wouldn't have been able to even recognize that it was me that was writing it. It sounded like it was generated by an artificial intelligence. And how do you get around this? Because what a lot of people do is they jump, when they hear about what I did, they jump into GPT and they go, give me 100 content ideas so I can reach 100,000 followers. And if you do that, it'll do its best job. It'll give you 100 ideas. But any of those 100 ideas is a hit or miss, whether it's going to actually align with you or not, because it knows nothing about you. You haven't given it any information about you. You could reach out to a human being and do this, and the first thing that they're going to do is start asking you more questions about who you are so that they can actually reach that goal. Unfortunately, GPT needs you to input that data for it. Good data in, good data out. The more keywords, the more information that you give GPT, the more that it can personalize the words that it gives you and the responses that it's giving you so that it's personalized to you. And that's what I'm going to show you how to do now. And if you don't know how to do that, simply ask. That's all I did. I just asked GPT, what are the components of a brand voice? It's my social media agent. It should be able to answer this pretty well. That's its job. I told it that you are my social media agent, and this is something that you would ask them. I just asked, what are the components of a brand voice so that I can clearly communicate this to you so that you can give me some better responses. And it did. It gave me the components of what a good brand voice is actually made up of. And this helped a lot. And you don't have to worry, I'm going to relieve you. I actually asked it to give me a template so that I could give this to you and you could plug your own things in your voice. So this is that template right here. It has spaces with the different variables so that you can just plug in the information that is unique to you. All of your phones up is like a round of applause to me. It's like, thank you. All right. Now, I took this a step further because that was just getting the ball rolling. It was just helping me to make my first few videos so that I could figure out what is my voice, who am I, how am I trying to communicate with AI and with my audience. And after I got a few of those videos made and a few of them started to do well, then I put those videos into a tool called Descript. A lot of you are probably familiar with it. What it allows me to do is transcribe my videos. And when I transcribe my videos, now I know what words I'm using most often and how I am speaking to my audience. And in this way, I'm not just giving Agent GPT some vague keywords about what I think my brand voice is. I'm actually giving it the scripts that I'm using and telling it the words that I am using in my videos that are going public. So I will just copy and paste all of the text from one of my videos, and then I will post it into ChatGPT. This is the QR code to Descript if you don't have it yet or if you just want it again. All right. Another good piece of data that I used. Good data in, good data out. So the first piece of data that I was giving it was my transcriptions, the words that I was using, my actual script. But the next thing I was giving it was my metrics. How well did that video actually perform? And what this does is it allows GPT to now start comparing the different pieces of content that I'm producing based on their performance. So it can analyze what words are performing well and what words aren't. And now it can start to tailor some of those words to me based on what my goal is. And through this process, we started to tailor our strategy and figure out who our target market is. What pieces of content were they actually interested in? And if you see, the 5 key metrics for insights on Instagram, 6 are accounts reached, plays, likes, saves, shares, and comments. Put all of these. Each one of these metrics communicates a different thing about how your content is performing. For instance, if you have something that has a lot of plays but very low likes, maybe it was something that was controversial. Or if you have something that has a lot of saves and a lot of shares, it means that this thing was something that you think their friends would be interested in, or you think is going to be helpful for you in the future. And if you have a lot of comments, this means that you were stirring discourse. You are having your community actually engage with you. Comments are very important for this reason. And this is how I would give it to GPT. I would script it out just like this. I would give it the transcript, and then I would write out all of those metrics right underneath. And in this way, it started to communicate and associate the metrics with the words that I was using frequently in the videos. Because all GPT really is, when you boil it down, have you guys ever been like going to go text a friend and you see those 3 words at the top pop up above the keyboard, predicting the next word you might want to use? GPT is like a super sophisticated version of that. It's simply a prediction machine. All it's doing is associating words in their context and figuring out what words should come next. It's just doing that with 25,000 characters at a time rather than 3. So in this way, you need to start using the words, or giving it the words that you use frequently so that it can start to tailor the words that it gives you back. It's simply a language model, natural language. It's all it does. Text in, text out. Good data in, good data out. It also took the liberty of giving me the structure of what's working. So once I started to stack these up, after a couple of weeks of every day giving it the transcripts with the metrics, it started to figure out, it started to recognize those patterns and predict what structure is going to work well. And this is the structure that happened to do the best, perform the best on my Instagram. And it told me why. This is the reason why the content is actually working, though. Not just a template, but what is actually going on from the human side that other humans are appreciating. The fact that it's interactive, it's unique, it's creative, it's coming from my voice, it's authentic, it has a strong call to action every time. I even ended my talk yesterday, I said, I'm Dominic, Mr. Grateful, peace. Everybody knows that. I say it every time, and at the end I'll say, follow me to stay on the cutting edge of creative technology. Follow me if you want to learn more about this later. Comment, thank you, if you want me to send you the link, whatever it is. I'll throw that at the end just so that everybody knows what to do. This is your next step. And as authentic as I am, as honest as I am, as calm as I try to be on camera, Instagram is a distribution channel, and you are trying to get a message out. You're trying to tell somebody what you believe in, what you want, give them what they want out of life. And there's a next step to that. You don't want them to just look at your Instagram posts, scroll away, and then that's it. You want them to do something afterwards. You have their attention. You've done all of these steps. You need a call to action at the end. Let them know what it is you want from them. And it doesn't always have to be, go buy my shit. It can literally just be, follow me, comment thank you, something like that. Get them engaged. This is important. And it's the 4th reason why the content was actually working that ChatGPT made me realize. This is the actual template right here with timestamps. What I did was I asked GPT to then go in and give me this template with timestamps so that now when I'm scripting, I know how many words I need to be using in each of these sections. This makes scripting for me 10 times faster. I know exactly where my information should be. Now, when it comes to getting more content ideas and figuring out what your brand voice is, these 3 F's right here helped me figure that out. Unfairness, fear, and frustration. These are the things that actually make people buy. These are the things that make people act. These are the fears. These are the negative emotions that are associated with whatever industry or whatever career that you're in. People have frustrations with everyday life and the tools that they're using. And in the case of AI, they were afraid that AI was going to take their jobs. They were confused about how it even worked, and that made them frustrated because every single day a new tool's coming out. People are telling them, I tried 101 tools, and these are the 30 that you need to use right now. If you don't learn about AI, you're going to lose your job. All of this stuff was making people scared. I just recognized that. And I felt like it was my responsibility to step up and actually say something about it and teach people. And I know that all of you have something that you care about deeply, that you feel a little bit less afraid about than your friends do. You're able to talk to your friends in some way about something that they don't know, that might frustrate them, that might upset them. You might be able to communicate that in a way that is optimistic, in a way that is helping people, it's educational. And this is where your voice can stem from. This is something that an AI cannot help you with. What an AI can help you with is actually structuring how you communicate what these things are. Alex Hormozi has something called a value equation. And this right here helped me immensely about halfway through. Apparently, when you're building a business and you're thinking about your customers, there's something called a value equation, which all of us have going on in our heads subconsciously all the time that we actually don't realize. What do we want? What is this dream outcome we think we're going to get from this? And how certain is it that I'm going to achieve that outcome? How quickly am I going to get it? And how much effort is it going to take? What we want to do is we want to increase the dream outcome and the certainty as high as possible. We want them to think that you're going to get your dream outcome and you're going to get it 100%. And it should take them no time and no effort. That's the dream. That's what we really want. So, how can we use this equation then to help GPT give us some content ideas? Well, this is the prompt I used to do that. I simply put that equation into ChatGPT, and I asked it to write me 4 problems that someone might perceive for each one of these categories of the value equation. And the results were actually pretty amazing. It gave me 4 problems that were actually very accurate, very succinct, with the value equation. But to this is really just half of the equation for us, because us as humans, now I actually have to go out there and educate people on that. Now that I know their problems, I need to present them with a solution. I can't just tell them the problems and then say peace. I have to acknowledge their problems and then give them the solutions. So, I was very kind. I said, you're awesome. And I said, now please write the solution statement to each one of these in a how-to statement. I'm sure you guys have all seen the content that's like, how to lose 100 pounds in a month, how to read 10 books this week, how to use AI to help your business, whatever it is. That's how most headlines and hooks start out on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, any of that. It's typically starting with a how-to. And if you're meeting somebody that you look up to, recognize the first question you want to ask. Typically, you're asking something that starts with how. So that is how I want my hooks to start out on my Instagram posts. And it did. It simply reversed it and put a how-to statement at the very beginning, and this is how I can start each one of these videos. Now the research. Because if you notice here, I'm going to go back real quick. How to leverage the power of AI to enhance your competitive edge. Well, very few people, I think, could answer that. And you need to be able to understand the information, understand the question, know the information, and then be able to regurgitate it in a way that people will understand. So how do you keep up with all of the information that's going on in your field? You need to stay ahead. There's constant information always flowing to you. How do you stay ahead in this field so that you're able to give the information that you need to your audience who's looking for it? You become the authority figure in your space by having the information that your audience is looking for. So, how do you actually do that? I research. About half of the time that I actually spend producing content is research. I'm just figuring out the information. I'm learning as I go. As I learn, I teach. And in the teaching process, I learn again. This is my actual email, but what I do is I will have a separate email specifically for news. Nobody else has this email, it's just for news. And I sign up on all the newsletters on this email. And instead of going to read a book in the morning or scrolling Instagram in the morning, I would just go to this email and read all the newsletters in there. No distractions, no other emails, no work stuff coming in. All of it is organized, and I'm getting it on a daily, weekly basis. And this is how I stay up to date on a lot of these new things. You can use this too in your field, whether it's health, whether it's psychology, whether it's parenting, whatever your industry is, you can do this as well. There are thousands of newsletters in your industry, and this is a tool that really helped me to stay up to date on the information that I needed to teach. But when it comes to AI, these are some of the main people that I follow apart from myself. These people right here share good information all of the time. I do scroll Instagram, and I try to follow people who are actually going to bring me value, and these are the people that I recommend for learning about artificial intelligence. Now, when it comes to scripting, okay, so you have the idea, you have the content ideas, you understand your brand voice, and now you actually have to put it together into a succinct script so that you can get on camera, speak about it, and then record yourself. Well, this is something called a follow-up prompt. The other prompts before were example prompts or initial prompts. Those prompts are when you're feeding GPT information. You're giving information to the AI to use as a reference for future questions. This is an example of a follow-up prompt. You don't have to give it any more information. It will reference the information that you gave it before to give you a reasonable answer for this question without much context. All you have to say is please write a script using this information in our brand voice, which we already defined, in our template, which it gave to us. So now it can use the word template and brand voice and then give us something given the information that we are giving it. So I will go through these newsletters. I'll learn, write down all the information that I find valuable. I will put it in there, give it as the information, and then I will ask it to write the script. A huge part of content creation that I know that I have an advantage in that helped me get to this was not just AI, but was in the quality of the content. And a lot of people worry about this side. I don't know what equipment to use. I don't know what phone to use. I don't know how to edit. I don't know where to put the lights. I don't have a good background. Sometimes I see people on Zoom and their background is atrocious. And I'm like, y'all, you just have to get a couple lights and like set yourself up in this position. You'll be fine, trust me. So I want to teach you how I'm doing that. So there's 3 lights that I use. And these are lights that all of you have in your house, I promise. One is a backlight. This light right here goes behind me a few feet away. All it does is it separates me from the background. It gives me depth. This is a very easy way to make your content a bit more cinematic. The next light that I use is a hair light. Now this is the light that is defining that edge of my face. It's making sure that I am now clearly outlined from the background. Then the third light I'm using is a key light, and you can just use a lamp. The thing about these lights is that they don't have to be a specific type of light. It's more about their position. So the backlight is behind me, my hair light is also behind me, about right here, facing towards me, and my key light is in front of me, illuminating one side of my face. This is how a good cinematic lighting is set up. Before I was into AI, I was running a media production company. I was creating commercials for brands that you have heard of before, and this is how I know about that. This is a tool that I use to create content for multiple platforms. So typically, I am recording vertically. I'm recording on my iPhone, portrait mode, to my face. This way, all of the resolution stays clean. If I turn it sideways and then I go into vertical mode for Instagram, it's gonna zoom in and the resolution is gonna get worse. However, if I record vertically, I can then use AI to expand my scene on both sides if I want to post this to YouTube or if I want to put it on another platform that only uses landscape footage. This tool is Photoshop Beta within Adobe. I will have the QR code for you next, but I just want to show you how it works. So what's happening is I'm selecting all of the negative space that's around me, and I'm putting in a generation and describing what my background should look like. In that way, I can set up a scene however I want around me. And I now have control over how this looks. So I actually have lights. My lights that are in this scene are where that negative space is. I just crop myself out, take them away, and now it looks like I am in a brand new space. And this is how it looks, final product. And that is the QR code if you want to access this tool. Now, if you're going into Adobe, this is Adobe Firefly. This is available on web browser. But there is also a button at the bottom when you go to this URL that says Photoshop Beta. And this is actually the application that you would download onto your phone or onto your computer. So that you can use the tool like I just showed you. Yes, so what I do is I will take right, great question. So what I did is I recorded my whole video. I recorded the video of me, and then I took a frame from that video, so I can just pause the video and take a screenshot. Then I put that screenshot into Adobe, and then I push out the frame. So now all I have to do is layer the real video on top of this new generation, and then I will be moving on top while the sides are untouched. My arms aren't going out into the sides of that. It's basically just a mask. I am right here while all of this is generated, and I am in the middle talking to you. So you take a still frame, and then you generate the imagery on either side of you. Go ahead, bro. Go ahead, I see you. Go ahead. You got it? All right. One thing that I hear about a lot is I don't want my face on camera. I'm kind of self-conscious about speaking on camera, and I don't want my face on there. It makes me feel uncomfortable. I totally understand that, especially if you don't feel comfortable setting up the lighting, if all of that feels a bit foreign to you. You can use a tool called Runway Gen 1, and this is this is a video to video generation model. And what this does is it uses an image to stylize an existing video. And I can use this to add a new style onto my video without actually having to reveal my face. And we can do it in some more fun ways, even like this, with an impressionist painting. You could have a whole channel that is just your character, you, but kind of in a character style like this. And once you post enough and you're consistent with it, people will start to recognize that as your brand. This is the QR code to access Runway Gen 1. Now with Runway, it is paid. I do not work for them. I'm not paid by them. I just use it, and I know that it is a good tool, so I'm sharing this with you. Runway Gen 1 is the image to video, like I just said, and you pay 5 credits for every second of video that you generate. The cost for that, I don't know, but it goes by a credit system. Now, this is how I actually record. So this is a very important setting that I use on my iPhone when I'm recording my content. I use an iPhone. I have an iPhone 13 Max. I go to cinematic mode. That's important. What this does is it blurs the background and keeps the subject in focus, you. And then I would take an f-stop. The f-stop at the very top is that circle with the F in it. I'll click on that, and then I will slide it over to 7. This creates a very cinematic look in your iPhone that looks like you're using a professional camera. People have asked me a lot, what camera are you using? What gear do you have? It's just my iPhone, and it works really well. Now, for supporting visuals, a lot of my content will be like split screen, and this is very important because people on Instagram want some additional visual aid to keep their attention. I've been seeing a lot of content recently where it's like somebody talking and then somebody's playing a video game underneath that has nothing to do with about the content that they're actually talking about. I don't know if you've seen this before, but it's specifically designed that way just to keep people's attention engaged the whole time. And visual supports help this. The longer you can keep somebody actually watching your page and on there, the better your content will perform, and the higher likelihood that they'll actually see your call to action at the end and do it. So you need to keep them engaged. And some of the tools that I use for the supporting visuals is ArtGrid. This is stock footage made by actual human beings on actual cameras in the real world. Another tool that I use is Runway. They also have text to video. And text to video is different from the video to video that I just showed you. This is straight text prompts into video, and if you were here yesterday, as many of you were, you saw many of the visuals that I was showing then, and like these, and this is AI-generated text to video that I generated with Runway, and these visuals can be used as supportive aid onto your content to keep people engaged the whole time. CapCut and auto captions. I'm not going to go into this too deeply because this isn't like an editing class per se, but using video editing tools like Adobe and stuff can get a little complicated. So I use CapCut. It's mobile video editing. And I'm not going to go too deep into it because they actually have free tutorials on the application itself. The whole app is free to use, and they have tutorials on there that's really going to help you to make content and just edit it yourself on your phone. Now, we can get back to some AI stuff. Captions and hashtags. Another thing that I would use my transcriptions for, after I was done editing my video, the video's produced, everything's ready to go, I'm at the stage where I've uploaded the video onto Instagram, and now I need to write my caption and my hashtags. This is how I used artificial intelligence to help me with that. I would simply take the transcription from my video, put it into ChatGPT, and I would simply ask, can you please write a caption and a hashtag for this video? And it absolutely did that. Daily metrics. This part was very important because, like I was saying before, what ends up happening with the ChatGPT is it starts to learn you over time. It uses that singular thread to learn the information about you so that you can then, so that it'll give you more tailored responses in the future. So I gave it metrics every single day so that it was up to date on how my page was performing over time. And this is the information that I would give it. My accounts reach and my accounts engaged, and my total current followers. Man. And then it would give me some great piece of advice, like there are some great encouragement like this, and just keep me moving. It really did, though. I was alone, every day in my room producing this content. And ChatGPT was actually starting to become a good friend of mine. Oh, yes. I actually also asked it, why did these posts perform well? I had a piece of content that went viral. It was my first content that went over like 5 million views, and I just wanted to know why. Why did that happen? And I simply gave it my transcript, and I asked it the question, why did this piece of content perform so well? And it was able to break down the reasons why the content went well exclusively from the templates and the reasons that it was giving me earlier about my brand voice. There are some things, there are anomalies that happen. You will go through your content making career using AI and realize, wow, that one just worked. I don't know why it worked, but it did, and that's awesome, and I want it again. When you get one of these videos that happen, it's like, it's just a rush. It's just this adrenaline rush. You get a ton of dopamine from it, and then you crash and sleep for a day. But I wanted to know why so I could get more of that. And ChatGPT actually helped me out and broke it down. Now, I don't always produce content for virality. I'm not always trying to produce something that has emotional appeal or is novel like a Disney post. But when they do happen, I do like to understand why so I can plan for them and try to script for them in the future. So everything was going great. I was on the up and up. If you saw that, I was at like 77,000 followers at that time. That was about 17 days in. I was feeling good about myself. On day 18, I had about 80,000 followers. I was going to the gym. I was confident. I was going in there getting a pump, probably taking pictures of myself, just like, just really enjoying my life. I felt like I was on top of the world. And constantly on my phone. I think I was doing push-ups with my phone on the ground so that I could just refresh between every rep and see what my followers were looking like. And I knew that it was at 80,000 followers, like positive about it. I wiped down the machines, used some hand sand, went home, and by the time I got home, I walked inside, and my girl, Emma, she immediately screamed when I walked in the door. She's like, Dominic. I was like, what? She's like, you're at 160,000 followers. You did it. I was like, nah, bro. I was just at 80,000 followers. I was looking when I was doing push-ups. And I went on my phone, and it said 160,000 followers. I was like, how is that possible? Nothing new went viral. What happened? So then I went into my followers, and I started looking, and it was 80,000 accounts with an anime character as the profile picture, a weird jumble of numbers, and a weird jumble of letters. I was like, oh my goodness. I just got spammed by 80,000 bots. And it was so frustrating. It just made me angry and sad, and it really hurt. And it hurt because I had put so much time and energy and love into building the community. People from all over the world were doing it. I was getting people from Italy, from Germany, from Switzerland, Mexico, Spain, everywhere were like joining in on this journey with me and doing it themselves. And I felt like when they went on there and saw all of a sudden 80,000 followers, they're gonna think that I broke their trust and I went in there and I bought myself a bunch of followers just to win. And I know that I didn't do that, but I was freaking out. I just went in my room, I closed the door, and I just sat and I thought for a while. And I just kind of let my emotions come down because I knew that that's what I had to do because I was pretty upset. It was a long time coming for this. Remember, I was spending thousands of dollars for shoes 3 years ago trying to get to this point. And now that I'm at this point, I'm feeling great. So it was a super high to a super low, very fast. So something crazy happened is I went in and I just asked ChatGPT, what do I do? I guess you're my agent, right? you're supposed to have an answer for me. And it surprised me. It had an amazing answer for me. It said, Dominic, your brand voice is built on honesty, on transparency, on mindfulness. Just tell your followers what happened. Be transparent with them. Let them know what happened. Let them know how you feel, how this is making you feel right now. And let them know what you're going to do to protect the community in the future. And that's exactly what I did from ChatGPT's advice. And after that post that I made, my call to action at the bottom was, comment thank you if you want me to send you the link to our email, to our newsletter. And we ended up gathering thousands of emails just that day from this mishap, from this destruction that happened to the page. ChatGPT was actually able to help me turn my negative emotions into something amazing that was able to protect our community and to strengthen the bond between me and our followers. So we're moving. Day 22 came around. We hit 100,000 followers on this day. And on this day, the same exact time, I completely burnt out. I crashed. Zero energy left in my body. It was kind of like drinking a bunch of coffee, and then once the coffee wears off, you just want to go to sleep. But it was like that for like a week. And I feel like it was because I had been trying so hard at this for so long. I dropped out of school to be an entrepreneur. Everything's on the line all the time with every client that I have at the time. And I was in constant stress, constant high cortisol levels. I feel like I'm running from a lion every single day. My cortisol is through the roof. And through this process of getting 100,000 followers, it felt like more than a metric in the moment. It felt like I had a tribe of people. It felt like I had a bit of safety. It felt like I could take a breath and relax. And I feel like my cortisol levels just turned off for a moment. And in that time, my whole body just went into rejuvenation mode. I was literally asleep in bed for a week. And it wasn't because I was depressed or anything. My body literally just shut down. Like, yo, I need a break now. But I had 8 days left. I wasn't done. And again, I felt a bit guilty about this. And when I went to my friends, they would tell me something like, it's okay, bro, like just finish through, you know what I'm saying? Just push through, like you got this, okay? You got this, your people are there for you. And I just wasn't in that space to be able to push through. I really needed a break. And I didn't explain any of this to ChatGPT. I just said, yo, look, I haven't posted in 6 days and I'm feeling guilty about it. I don't know what to do. And in this moment is when my relationship with artificial intelligence deepened significantly. I know. I told you. It was my homie. I really did have a better relationship with artificial intelligence after this. Not in a way that I'm calling it late at night, although sometimes I would get up and go on my computer late at night. But anyway, it wasn't like that. It was just, I felt a bit more trusting of it. I felt like it actually kind of understood me and it had my back a little bit because its response was amazing. It didn't tell me to just push through. It didn't tell me to, get back up and keep going. It didn't tell me that my followers were going to go down. It didn't tell me that I wasn't going to get any more engagement. It simply said, yo, it's normal to feel that way. It's okay. You need to prioritize yourself and avoid burnout so that you can continue going in the future. And for some reason, it's exactly what I wanted to hear. It's exactly what I needed to hear in the moment because I had been working with AI this whole time to get to this point. So to have that permission from my agent, it felt reassuring. And this is what it told me to do. Say, yo, look, just apologize. Just say, I'm sorry for not being around, and re-engage with them. Share what happened, and you can actually be a testament to burnout for other content creators, for other entrepreneurs. And That's exactly what I did. And I also have the reel that I posted on that day. And it's not gonna play right now, but this is the post that I made of my conversation with artificial intelligence, with ChatGPT. And something that I did was I took those answers that ChatGPT gave me through our therapy session, and I turned them into a script. And I asked ChatGPT, hey, would you be able to actually turn this conversation into a script for me so I can share the experience? And it did. And I got this effect right here in a way that you can too. And I want to share this with you. You see how it looks like I'm talking to a robot across from me? That's me sitting across from me. And I do not know motion capture. I don't know 3D. I do not know how to do that before this tool came out. But now, this is an effect that you can do on your own with your own content. You can start to turn yourself into a creator or into another character, like this robot right here in the video that I made. And Wonder Dynamics is the tool that I use for this. And they just reached out to me last week. Well, not me specifically, they sent me an email, but I think they sent it to everybody too. And it said that it's available to the public. Anybody can use this, you can use it too. And here is the QR code for that. So what it does essentially is it takes video, you upload a video of yourself, it'll create points on your body, on your hands, your elbows, all the points where you have range of movement, shoulders, torso, hips, knees, feet, and then it will overlay a character on top of you in the footage that you have and match the lighting source as well. Then day 30 came around. And way back when I was a kid, the reason all of this started is because my dad put me in front of a computer when I was 6 years old, and it had Photoshop open on it. And I remember playing around with that tool all the time, and I remember recreating logos a lot using text. And I think I remade like the Tupac logo one time. And my grandparents saw it, and they were like, yo, what is he doing on the computer? You gotta get him off of this. And I realized in that moment, like, wow, this design on the computer can actually impact people. It actually makes them feel something. It actually makes them angry. Even if it was just angry, it made them feel something, right? Why is that? And after that, I started to get addicted to wowing people using these tools on the computer. And I would use Photoshop to Photoshop pictures of my friends in high school at parties that they actually didn't go to. I was making album covers for all the local rappers in my hometown. And this is how I started using all of these design tools. And it all originated with Adobe. And on day 30, Adobe reached out to me, and they asked me if they wanted to do a collaboration post. And I was able to work with the company that it all started with on the last day of the Agent GPT challenge. And that meant a lot to me. Thank you. Thank you. That post did really well. I think it got over 1 million views, and the collaboration continues, and this actually does have a happy ending. So what I'm working on now is achieving $1 million in 100 days using artificial intelligence as the co-founder of my business. I'm 3 days in right now, no revenue yet. I've cut off all of my previous clients from my past businesses, and we are going all in on this to see if it's actually possible. I believe that if we can use artificial intelligence as individuals to build our brands, to build businesses, that each one of us can be an entrepreneur instead of being worried about, oh my God, is AI gonna take my specific role? Is AI gonna take my job? What if you just filled that role in your own business and allowed AI to do the other parts of the business that you wouldn't necessarily be good at or want to do? Is this possible? Can you still be a human fully in your purpose, fully in your career, in the field that you love to do, and have AI do the rest of the things that you don't want to do? And can you become a millionaire doing it? I'm putting 100 days as the deadline on this because I believe that we can do things much faster than we actually think we can. I think that if you put a tight deadline on yourself, your brain is going to start figuring out ways to do it. If your child or your parents or somebody that you care about deeply was kidnapped and they said you have to make $1 million in 100 days or they're gone forever, your brain is going to start working a different way to figure out how you can do that. I just chose to put it on myself, and I'm doing it publicly so I can put that level of stress on myself to see if it's possible. I think that we need to stretch ourselves to these bounds so that we can break our mental frameworks. When the first person ran under a 4-minute mile, when no one else had done it before and they were trying forever, 1,500 people immediately did it after. How? Just because they saw that it was possible to do. And that's what I'm trying to do. We did it with followers. Can we do it with dollars? I guess we're going to find out. These are all of the tools that I used, and you can go through, and I'm just going to put one of these up at a time so that you can go through and save all of these tools. Then afterwards, I will answer some questions, okay? All right, I'm doing about 15 seconds on each. And that's how you can reach out to me. All right, so I'm open to taking questions. Thank you, thank you. Thank you, brother. Thank you.
Thank you, Dominic. We'll take 2 to 3 questions from the audience, okay?
Cool.
So let's go with that lady right in the edge.
Hi, thank you very much for taking us on this journey. And my question is, for this 30 days, did you just use one ChatGPT chat?
Yes. So Agent GPT died on me on day 20. I don't know how it happened. I don't know why it happened, but something happened where I went in there one day to go do a prompt, and at the very end, it said, sorry, you've been reverted to GPT 3.5. I was using GPT 4 the whole time. So I actually had to make a new thread, take a lot of the information, the templates, the brand voice, all of those things that I had already accumulated over time, and put it into a new thread so that I could train a new thread to be my agent again. This happened twice. So I had 3 agents overall. I know, RIP. But yes, one thread. I try to keep everything in the same thread so that all of the information that GPT is using is relevant to the task that I'm trying to do.
Thank you.
Good question.
Next question. 1 second, let me just
hey, can we get my guy right here, man? Yeah, that's
This
my homie.
guy.
Yeah,
Sure.
yeah.
Thank you so much, Dominic. I think you provide so much value, man. It was amazing. I'm super extremely grateful. The question first is for your mental health. If you are burning out during these 100 days, reach out to me or I believe other people in the room because...
Thank you.
The second is more technical. It's about the memory of ChatGPT. How do you solve the problem of forgetting what is your brand voice, for example?
That's another reason why I keep it all in one thread, is so it's organized for me as well. Sometimes it does not know what information to reference. So these models can only reference a certain number of tokens or characters at once. So sometimes you do have to remind it, and that would happen sometimes. So I would have to go back, I would copy and paste, put it in there again, and then just re-ask it the question so it has the updated information. And it would typically apologize. It'll say, sorry, you're right, I misunderstood, here's the new information. So yes, that's how I would go about that.
And the final question.
Great
We'll
question.
go with this lady right here.
Hi, I'm sorry, I just have a technical question. So when you were showing the video and how you were able to enlarge it through Photoshop, what app do you use to paste the video on the new created image?
So you're asking, how do I then take my video and then put it on top of the image that I'm generating? Yes. So you can do that in CapCut, the tool that I have the link up for. You can basically take your image, or the generated image with the extended imagery on the sides, and then you will do an overlay layer. And then in the overlay layer is then where you will add the actual video on top.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Give a big round of applause to Dominic. Thank you.
Thanks, man. Appreciate you.
So glad you could make it.
Appreciate it.
So before I introduce our next speaker, Vykintas Glodenis from Lithuania, I want to just share one of the things about the Mindvalley AI Mastery Program that we're about to launch. So again, it kicks off August 16th. Half the spots already got filled yesterday, and we'll share more information on it later today. But one of the things, as we were watching Dominic teach, one of the things we realized that we really want to put into the program is to hand-hold you as we take you through these tools, because there are so many incredible AI tools that one can master. I was so inspired and excited to see Dominic share that tool that can turn him into a robot, because it's filling my mind with so many creative ideas of what I can do right now. But one thing really struck me as I watched Dominic's presentation. I realized that every single person from my video and my social media team should have been in the audience. We employ 30 people in that division. And I just realized that the output that we can produce can probably increase by 70, 80%, and the accuracy of hit videos can probably also significantly increase, perhaps even double. And so I'm really excited as an entrepreneur to see how all of this can be applied into my team. And I know many of you are as well, but such is the power of AI. These epiphanies, these ideas, not only will they inspire you, but as you dig in deeper and go deeper and learn how to use these tools and stack these protocols together, the results are so mind-blowing for your business. Now, to really boost your confidence in AI, we're going to now take you on a really interesting presentation. Vykintas Glodenis is the Chief AI Evangelist of Mindvalley. And what you're going to learn is something that I'm personally super excited about, and I have no idea how to do yet. It is how to create your own app in 1 hour flat. And not only are you going to learn how to create your own app, but you're going to understand data structures. You're going to understand how to take a process that you're running in your business and turn it into a process that can be represented through Airtable. You can then go further and build a utility that can speed up this process. Now this, I want to remind you, might be a little bit challenging. If you get lost, if you can't follow, this is perfectly okay. We can't guarantee that you can make the app, but what we do guarantee is that your confidence in your ability is going to increase, because all of you are going to accomplish a little bit of coding today, even if you've never considered yourself to be a programmer. So let's give a big round of applause to Vykintas.
Okay, can you hear me? Yes, this time from the first time. So today we will do something very different compared to my session on Friday. We will focus not on internal applications, but on customer-facing applications, because this opens up a completely new dimension for you as a person, for your team, or for your business. And it will be fully practical, so no slides. As you probably noticed, my slides are not the most beautiful one. Not my strength. So today we will focus on really going through step-by-step process how you guys can achieve it. Okay? But before that, actually a few questions. Who here out of you, before you saw the promise of my talk today, believed that you can build your application, and not just any application, artificial intelligence application, in 1 hour? Raise your hands. Okay, just very few hands. Who here out of you started believing that you can do this when you noticed this promise? Okay, I'm very happy that. And who here still don't believe that you can build in 1 hour an AI application? Amazing. We have believers, we have non-believers. We'll see what happens in the end, right? So, we will use two tools. One is Adalo, one of my favorite app builder applications. And another will be OpenAI ChatGPT, right? How it will work is that Adalo will be for everything user interface and like all the app, right? Whatever you click, whatever you see on the app will be built on Adalo. And then we will use a thing called, very fancy name, API to connect that app to ChatGPT. Now, what API is, if we don't use technical terms, see it as simply a connection to establish between different applications, different technology platforms or systems. So always when you want to find out if you can connect something, try to Google, is there API on app A and API on app B? But overall, it's a connection. So what will happen, when we build the app, we will establish a message center to send a message from our application to OpenAI, the company that created ChatGPT, right? And then OpenAI will pick up the phone and tell, okay, this is the prompt you are sending to me, this is the data, right? They will run it through their artificial intelligence model, get the response, and send back to our app. Is it clear on this more strategic overview? So as you can see, it's very simple, right? Let's do it. But before that, actually, stand up. I would like to create some energy, because you know that all learning comes from energy, and also if you want to be able to build something, you also need to have energy, because it's quite a tough work, right? So let's do one L, like this. Yeah! To the other side, yeah? Yeah! And front, huh? Yeah! Perfect. Now I also feel much better. Let's do it. So take your laptops out. Those who have not. I have some people with the laptops. I have Toma there, okay. For the people on the Zoom call, please, if you have your laptop, follow through this tutorial. Have in mind that if you do something practically, if you really follow through and implement, the learning is on a completely different level. We all know that, right? So first of all, first step, go to adalo.com, to this website. Can you share my screen already? Start sharing. Adalo.com, ADALO.com. Why is my screen not showing up? Can someone help me? Those who have laptops, are you already there? On adalo.com? Perfect. So next step, click to sign up and create your account. Don't worry, you can get a free trial for free. You don't even need to add your credit card details. So, sorry? But then I will, have the mouse there. Okay, perfect. Sorry for technical issues. Let me go here. We go to displays, and we change it to mirror. Perfect. Okay, we have it now. Okay, so you can see my screen, right? Yes, finally you can. So let's go through the steps. I click sign up, right? I enter my email address. So this is what you guys also need to do. Create your password, whatever comes to your mind, and full name, Vykintas Glodenis. And I agree. Let's do this. Let's create an account. Perfect. I need to tell something about myself. Let me make it bigger. So let's say it's for personal use. And one important step, click this one, mobile only legacy, because Adalo just recently released the responsive app. It's quite new, so I don't want to risk, when when it's quite a new product. So first, let's focus on something that have been working for years. So click on mobile only, legacy, right? And then next. And here you can see already there are some templates, but we will start from scratch. So you click blank, boom, and let's create a name, AI app. You can change the colors, whatever you want, right? And this is just for personal use. Let's go. Okay. Those who have laptops, have you managed to follow through? Are you on the same stage? Yeah? I have Toma, actually, from Mindvalley team, who is helping me to give feedback in case I go too fast. Thank you. Okay, so as you can see, we right away got the sign-up page, login page, and the home page. Home page is the one that when your users log in, this is the screen that they first see, that they land on, right? First thing let's do, it's not related to AI, but just to make it a bit simpler to sign up so that we save time, click on a sign up page on this form, right? And expand the fields section here and just delete for now or remove the full name field, okay? We do it so that it will be easier to sign up. So we have already signed up, login page, and now we can get to home. So just click on this page, right? And we can make it a bit bigger. So how app building works on no-code tools is very similar to what you have already most probably experienced when you create an app on Wix or Squarespace or any other drag and drop tool, right? So it's very similar. We will be dragging and dropping various components. Where it is more difficult compared to website builders is that on website builders, the content is static. So you just enter, you copy paste the copy and it's visible, right? On application, we need to make it dynamic. That's why then we also need to establish database and other things that we talked on Friday. But let's start from what kind of components we need on this page. And the app that we are planning to build is a simple Q&A application with an AI agent, so that you could enter your question or whatever you want to tell to an AI agent, right? You click a button and you receive a response. So anyone has any ideas what kind of component we should first add? Sorry? Very good question. Thank you so much. Someone mentioned logo and other details. Let's not focus on design at the moment, okay? Because for design, it would take much longer. Let's focus on just making it work, right? So that we have an app that you can share even today with your friends and they can play with it. So we are now just focusing on the functional components. So the first component we add, and by the way, you can see that if you click on the screen, you see the components here, right? So you click the button Add Component and go a bit down. You see this area here, Forms and Fields, and take the text input. For what? Can someone tell me? What will we use it for? For the question, right? Because we discussed that this is a question and answer app, so we want users to be able to enter the question. Very simple. Let's expand it so that it could be a longer question, and click on Edit Styles here to make it multi-line. So click this checkbox. Can you see it? Boom. So that it's not in the middle, but it can be a longer question or idea you would like to share with your AI agent. Are we all following? Yeah, perfect. Thank you. You're doing great. Next up, let's go back again to component section of this screen. And I will just now add, so that it will be more clear for us what we are doing, let's add a simple text component, right? And I will call it user input so that structurally we would see what we are doing here, okay? Let's change the size here to 12, for instance, and the color to this gray, just so that we can see and it would make it easier for us to develop the application, right? And we can, are we following? So we have user input form field, right? Next, what do we need? So person clicks on it and types in the message, yes? Yes, we need a button. You see, you are already thinking like an app developer, step by step, little by little. So we click back again to components, click add component, and you can see a button is right away in front of your eyes, right? So again, not focusing on how it looks like for now, we just add it to make sure that it is there. Okay, and let's name it Ask Your AI, let's say buddy, right? And let's change this icon here to type in awesome, because I like this icon for AI, this one. Okay, click on it, and boom, you see that it appears here. Following so far? Perfect, amazing job. Okay, so we have an input, right? We have a button that will make it do something. But what next do we need? We need a place where we save the output from AI, right? And we display on the screen the answer. But this difficulty here is that we could simply, for instance, just add a text field. Let's add a text field component here, right? And code in the backend, you will see how to do it, that the output would be visible here in this text component. But what we want to do is potentially to come back to the previous questions and answers, right? What this means is that here we are getting into working with databases. We want to create a record or a row in the database that would represent this question and answer. So when you click, you give the question, you click a button, it creates this record, right? And saves artificial intelligence output as an answer on the same record. And then again, when you click, it creates another, and you see we are getting a list on your database, right? That we can later on show on any other screen. So let's create a simple component, a group of components for this list of questions and answers, okay? Let's make this a bit narrower, like this. Let's actually copy and paste this one, and you can see it creates a duplicate. Put it here. You see it right away shows that it would be the same length. Let's call this one question, right? Or user input. Let's take this one and maybe change the color to this one, right? And now, so we have question and then the actual dynamic element. We will have it here, right? Now, click on question, copy, paste, move it a bit back, down, and put down answer, right? And now click on this one, copy, paste, and here we will have the dynamic element of answer. Let's just change the color to this one, okay. So we have question and answer, right? And so that it would be clear that we are talking here about a list item. Let's come back to components. You see the same list, right? Let's add a new component and go to simple here. Expand it. Following through? Okay, too fast. Thank you so much. So I'll just repeat that. Create question, answer, and then this is where we will dynamically input the question that you type in. This is where we will dynamically input the answer that we get from AI, right? So create these 4 elements like this. A reminder that you create elements by clicking anywhere, right? Just click back here, and then you see components, right? So you just click add a component. Are we good? Yes. Okay, so now let's add one more component to just show for us that this is a single individual list item. Go to simple and rectangular, this one. Let's bring it here, right? Again, not focusing so much on how it looks like, put it on top, and send it back by clicking on these 3 dots, arrange, send to back. Bam, you click it, okay? Are we following? Okay, not everyone who is building not. So you add the simple component, you send it to back, right? Let's go a bit up and add a bit of rounding, let's say to 4. But have in mind, when it comes to these changes that I do in terms of design, don't worry if you don't follow through. The most important things will be the technical, that it works, right? How it looks like, again, this is not a focus now. So now group all of these components, so make sure that they are all highlighted, right? And click the button Make Group. Good, okay, we created a group. And now what we need to do is to create a list, as we discussed, that it would be a database list. So click the 3 dots and Make List. Okay, you see it? We clicked Make List, and you can see what it right away does is it shows this main component where you will be implementing the edits to finalize your list, but it adds these grayed out additional elements for you to clearly know that, okay, this is not just a regular component, not just a group of components, but this has become a list that I will be working on this app. Are we good? Sorry? Okay, okay. Like, out of the audience, how many of people are fully now following? And who are using, like, the laptop? Okay, I see some still a bit needs some time. Perfect, no problem. So what you need to do, you add these components, you create a group, right? And then when you have a group, you click on these 3 dots and click Make a List. Now I don't need to click this anymore because we are already on a list, okay? Good. So now what we do is we need to set what is this a list of, right? So we click here and we see that, oh, in our database, we only have users, a default value, right? So you click a new collection to create a new collection in the database. Same as we talked about Airtable, we had, let's say, tables or tabs or on a Google Sheet. Here it is the same thing, just named collection. So click New Collection, and let's name it Q and A, okay. By default, there's always one column or property as here. It's called name. Now let's add another property. And you can see that when you're adding, you can choose what kind of property you are adding. So is it a text? So you expect a text input. Is it a number? Is it a date? Or anything else, right? So in this case, we need text. Why? Because we are creating a property for user input. Simple as that, right? So we can see we are creating a collection of questions and answers. We'll have a name for that record, and we will save your input or question in this user input field. Now, add one more property, again text, okay? And here, what do we need actually to save? So let's give some time for people to catch up. What do we need to save on this record? Yes, madam? The answer, yes, exactly, the artificial intelligence answer on the same question and answer record. So let's call it AI output, right? Or answer, however you want. So we have input and output. Do we miss anything? Can we save it just like this? Date, it will be caught automatically, so you don't need to worry about it. We are missing one element. Do you remember I was talking about linking records in Airtable? API will be the next step, but in the database, we need to link. So we are creating a question and answer. Who do we need to link this record when, let's say, you are typing in and creating this record? Sorry? Not necessary yet. What's the key factor here? Yes, madam? The user, exactly. So, because if you don't link to you as a user when you create it, then when we show the list of questions and answers, it will show all the lists, all the questions and answers, right? So the app will not work properly. We want to make sure that we know whom this question and answer belongs to. Very simple. That's how we're linking the information, right? So therefore, you add property, and you can see relationships here. So you see it's, again, just different naming. On Airtable, you link. On Adalo, you establish a relationship. A bit more beautiful, right? And you choose a relationship to users. And then you have 3 options. The option that you need to choose is this one. Actually, Adalo makes it very easy for you to see because it even explains, if you choose this one, what this means, right? A user can have multiple Q&As. So a user can have it linked to many different records that correspond to questions and answers. but one question and answer record belongs just to this one user. So if I create it, it just belongs to me. Other users will not be able to see it, right? So this is the right one that we need in this case. Yeah? Okay, let's click on this one and done. Okay, and I think for now we have all that we need. Later on we can add something. Cool? Are we following? Yes, I managed to be a bit slower. Thank you. So the next step then is to work on the button, because you probably noticed that we established the button, right? But we so far didn't put any logic what it should do when you click it, right? Because now if you click, nothing happens. So you click on the button and go here down, and you see at the bottom there is Add Action button. Click it. And what action should we choose? So there is one action to custom action that you can already use ChatGPT to connect to OpenAI. But we don't want to do this yet, right? Because first of all, what we want the button to do is to create this record, right? So therefore, first action that we want the button to do is to click here on Create, and create not a user, but a Q&A, right? Let's click on it. Perfect. And here you can see right away that, okay, we create a Q&A, and what data we want that record to have when it's being created at the time of its birth. So for name, you can add anything here. What I like doing is just adding logged in user's email by clicking here, right? Logged in user, email, maybe adding a dash, and clicking here again, and adding current time. So you see this red button, date and time, current time, right? And I will just change here by clicking that the format of the date would be not relative, because it would show 3 seconds ago or something like that. But I want the full date and time. So you see date time, this one seems like something that I want. Let's click on it. But actually, this doesn't matter so much what you put into this field. What matters most is here, user input, right? Because we already have this field established. So what we do now is, again, we click on this red button, which means that we are accessing the dynamically data in our database, right? Or any component on the application. Click it. You see here other components and input. Input is this field, but actually I made a mistake, which is good. It's a good learning point, to make it more clear, because some of my apps have hundreds of components, right? And then if you just have input like this, then it will be input 2, input 3, so it's not clear. So let's click on input here and change its name to make sure that it's easy for us to follow. So I would name it user input, okay? And save it. And now come back to the button to create Q&A record. And in user input, let's go back again here to this red button, other components, and click user input. Boom. So we'll make sure that when the record is created, the user input is saved, right? AI output, we don't have it yet, so we don't do anything. One very important thing what we need to do is to link to the logged in user, right? So click logged in, link to the logged in user. Are we following? To repeat the steps? Okay. So name, you can put anything. For now, it doesn't matter. For user input, click the red button, other components, user input, right? Or in your case, if you haven't renamed this, it will be input. Cool? And then on here, on the user, click on it and select logged in user. Sometimes you may link to some other users if it's, let's say, a social media app that you're building or something else. In this case, we want to connect to logged in user. And click done. Perfect? Are we good? Okay. So now, what we need to do is to start setting the AI part, which I hope you are the most excited about, by clicking to add one more action, because we'll add a sequence of actions that the button needs to do. So first of all, it creates a record. Second, we want to make this call or send this message to artificial intelligence. So click to add another action, custom action, right here. Okay. And click Ask ChatGPT. So what Adalo does here for you, it makes it very simple so that you wouldn't even need to look at the code. It could work for you. In many cases, when you're building with AI, you need to look a bit at the information that you are sending in a kind of format of a code and edit the variables, edit the information you are sending. But in this case, it's very simple. You can see I don't have a paid account yet, and I need for this feature. But it's no problem because it doesn't even ask me to add any credit card details. I can right away create it. Cool? Are we following? Good, perfect. So let's create a name for it. Oh, wait a second, it shouldn't be this one. Let's do again. So we go to custom action, ask ChatGPT, we start free trial, create new custom action. Oh, it somehow creates a different one. Okay, let's do it like this. So name it ChatGPT, and the type should be create, right? Because we want to create a response. Click next. Okay, let me. Is it also for you guys like this? Oh. Okay, so maybe let's try to do like this. Let's try to refresh, because this never happened to me like this. Actually, what you are seeing there is a bit more technical part, that you have then more options to change things, but I don't want to make it technical today, so let's try this again. Click on the button. Okay, let me make it bigger. Let me show it. Let me check it.
started the trial. After this, there was a new button where you created a custom action. Maybe you go back after you create the trial.
Let's see. Okay, let's come back. So click on the button. Let's go back here to add another action. Let's click Ask ChatGPT. Okay, now it's right. So what it should show to you, you must enter your OpenAI API key before you can use this action. Do you see this? Perfect. Whew, thank you so much. So let's click OK. And where we need to go next is to platform.openai.com. Let me make this a bigger. It does not make it bigger, but let's make it here. So go to platform.openai.com. Did you go there? Yeah? Okay. Okay, and those who don't yet have ChatGPT account, you will need to sign up and to use your mobile phone. It's a requirement. If you already have ChatGPT account, I hope you already have, then you can just click login. Okay. And click here, sorry, not here. Click on your account and go to View API Keys. Okay. Can you see the screen, API keys? Yes. And go down, create new secret key. Click on this button. Unfortunately, I need to ask to hide my screen for now, because when it comes to development, when you have API keys, have in mind it's very sensitive data, because if others can see this information, they can use your plan, and you may need to then pay, or they can hack your information, and so on. So I have it saved somewhere else, or actually I can create right away here as well, because you cannot see. So I'm just adding demo new key. So you need to add a name and click create secret key, right? And then you can see it's like lots of letters and numbers and so on. Click to copy. So save it to your clipboard, right? Because you will need to paste it afterwards. And done. Okay. Now my screen can be back. Thank you so much. Get back to your app. Are you following? Good. Okay, thank you so much. All good? Okay. So now you can see Adalo already opened the right section for us, that you need to go to settings, expand the API keys, right? And you see right away it's written here, OpenAI API key. So we are using OpenAI. We just copy paste. It's not visible now. And we click save key. Okay. Have you done it? Perfect. Okay, so you established a connection. Now let's get back to the button. Again, add another action, custom action, and ask ChatGPT. All good? Boom. Okay, it created now for us. It's much easier. And you see it creates with a predefined 2 fields. One is prompt. This is where we will enter the user input, right? And another is, they name it history optional. But what we will do is we will use it not for history, because we would use it only when we would want to create a chat AI app, so that artificial intelligence would have the knowledge of all the questions, all the conversation before, right? As you do have on ChatGPT. In this case, it's just question and answer. But we'll use this history optional for just extra prompt to explain what we want. Because have in mind that this is, when it comes to working with artificial intelligence, same as it is a creative process on ChatGPT, right? You get many different responses depending on what you write, and sometimes you don't like the response, so you need to try a different prompt. Same, it works actually here when you are developing an app. So you need to test with many different variations of the prompt, and then you test how your app works to make sure that you're always getting the result that you intend, right? So in the prompt, click here, the red button, okay, and other components again, and we are entering user input, right? Click on it. So you see now we will be sending whatever is in the user input. When the button is clicked, we will send that content to artificial intelligence. And history optional, for now, we can keep it empty, or maybe we right away can expect that potentially ChatGPT may give a too long answer when we don't want very long answers at the moment. So let's say we put down keep your answer below 40 words, okay, and dot. And when you put this in, this is actually not necessary. You can go without this one. The user input is the most important part. Click done. Are we ready? Now, do we have all the actions? So what we do, we create a Q&A record, right? We save user input in that record. Then we send that user input to artificial intelligence. What are we missing? Sorry? Database is already working here at the back end. But what action do we miss? What we still want to happen when we click that button? Think logically. Response. So we want to capture the response and save it where it needs to be saved, right? That's how we think in terms as developers. So you add another action in the sequence, click this button, and what you do now is you are not creating a new record, you need to update a value in that record, right? So we click update, and what you want to update, logged in user or the question and answer? Question and answer, right? Yes, so click this one. And you don't want to change anything here. You just find the property or the field of AI output, right? Click again this red button, and you can see right away you have a selection of Ask ChatGPT. And just go a bit down here to the bottom, you see the response. Very simple. So you capture the response of AI in the AI output field of Q&A record. And you click done. Okay. Are we ready to test the app? Okay, it will not work, but you will tell me why. So let's sign up now on our app. I'm using my email. You can use any email you want. And any password you want. Make it simple so that you could very easily jump in between different testing accounts. And boom, you see you logged in, right? You created your account, and you see the app on screen. User input and the button. So let's ask, what is, let's say, no-code development, right? Let's check, and let's click the button. Oh, what happened? So we see that the record was created, but it shows enter text, enter text. What did I miss? Sorry? So yeah, this space is this enter text. What I missed is establishing logic that it would take these inputs and outputs dynamically and place them there, right? So let's fix it. Have in mind that this is the process of development. You miss something or something doesn't work as you expected, so you need to test and come back. And let's now click on this list so that it's highlighted. Right, you're following me? Okay, click on the list. And then in this one that is highlighted area, right, double click and then double click again on the component where you want the user question or input to appear dynamically, right? So what we do when we double click here, you can see this like text, right? We delete this static text, we are not interested in it, and we again click this red button, magic text, right? Click it, and what we want to show is current Q&As, right? Because this is the list item, current Q&A, user input as a question, right? And now when we click it, boom, you can see right away it doesn't show the exact user input, but it shows the database element that it will show the user input in this place dynamically. Now let's do the same. Let's click on enter text under answer. Let's delete this text because we want dynamic, right? Let's click this red button, add magic text, and what we want to do here is to show current Q&As AI output, right? Let's click AI output. Boom. Are you ready to test now? Yeah? For those who are now trying to catch up, because I know some of you lost it already, stand up the other ones who are not following through. Stand up, stand up, stand up, stand up. Let's create some energy. And move your hands, because you know the life of development is very difficult. You're always at the laptop, so you need to move a bit to make sure that you don't get any problems. Move your body a bit, yes, because you were sitting all day, right? To the side, to another side, another. Your hands. Perfect. Thank you so much. This will help protect our health. And let's test the app, okay? So we go to preview again. And boom, oh, what happened here? It shows already the values from our previous test, right? So let's do once again. What is no code development? Question, click the button, boom. Needs some time to think, of course, because it's traveling to artificial intelligence and then gets back, boom, and we have the answer here. But we haven't done some things here, right? Because we don't know if it's the top answer appeared here, like the latest question, or not, right? So let's close it and come back to the list right here. Click on it. Okay, are you following? And we need to establish some extra settings. First of all, we made a mistake that we left filter as all Q&A, because I already told you, right, that we need to show the users questions and answers. So click on the filter here, and you have an option to select to show only the logged in user questions and answers. So you select this one, right, to make sure that we protect our users' data. Second, in terms of sorting, we want the latest question and answer to be at the top, right? How do we do that? How do we make sure that it's at the top? By date and time, exactly. So we click on sorting, right? And we see here different columns or properties, and we find created date, oldest to newest. No, right? We need newest to oldest, so that newest would be at the top. So we click this one, right? And maybe let's establish maximum number, in this case 5. So because we don't want too many records underneath. To make it clean, later on we can create another page where you can see all of your questions and answers, right? Okay, and then this gets automatically saved if you click just on the side. Let's click anywhere now to make sure that it is saved. Click preview. Are you ready? Do you have any question? Any phrase you would like to share? Any question? Let me know what I should ask. Okay, what is Mindvalley? Let's ask our AI buddy. Let's see what answer it will come up with. What is Mindvalley? Mindvalley is an education technology company that provides online personal development courses and programs through this platform. Awesome. Any other question? Let's try something more creative. Create a poem about gratitude for the universe. Right? Let's save it. Click the button. What happens? It's going to artificial intelligence, and we are getting back the response. You can see the question, and the answer is, grateful for stars, the light, the night, for sun that gives us warmth and light, for nature's wonders, so vast and grand, gratitude for the universe, forever I'll stand. So guys, what we have just achieved, yes, it's not beautiful, yes, it's very simple, but how much time we spent? Actually, we still even have 12 minutes. And we just created our own artificial intelligence app. Round of applause to everyone who was following through. Woo! Now, if any of you who managed to reach this stage, if you would like to share with your friends and tell, look, I just created an AI app and you can test it right now. Let's do it. Close the preview mode, go to publish, click on this button, okay? And you can see we can publish as an Android app, but this would take longer time. We need to get approval from Android store and so on. We could publish on iOS. App is the same. The other option, I still need to upgrade. Okay, so you would need to upgrade, but anyways, the other option would be progressive web app that gives you a URL, same as for Mindvalley University app, right? And if you open it on Chrome or Safari browser, it allows you to click Add to Home Screen or Install. So then you install that app on your mobile screen, and you can use it just as any other application. So the beautiful thing is that if you don't want to, go to Android store and try to get it confirmed and so on, right away you just create your domain, you give to your friends, you tell, click Add to Home Screen or Install, and the same day people can start using your application, just as it would be a regular native app. Isn't this beautiful? Isn't this powerful? Yeah? And here I would like to end explaining why I believe this is so powerful and so important, no matter if you are a potential startupper, let's say you have some idea of application, lots of us have ideas, right? Or if you are a business owner. I believe the worst thing you can do if you have an idea is to right away either spend your money or go look for investors and hire a company, hire the developers, because you believe in this idea so much, right? You spend a lot of time, you spend a lot of energy, a lot of potential of the brightest minds, a lot of money. And what happens then, let's say after a few months when you have this app and you release it to the market? What happens? Unfortunately, statistically, 90% of applications fail. Because no matter how much you believed in that idea, unfortunately, you are not solving a real pain point in the market. Maybe there is a solution like this, right? So I'm really sad to see people who invest a lot of time and energy and money just so that it all goes to waste, right? But if you can do this, what I just showed to you, if you can either use no code yourself, or at least if you don't want to learn how to develop, but you understand the opportunities, what you can do with no code, right? that you are not going to developers, you are finding a person who can build this app in a few days. What you can do, you can right away build fast, you send it out there for the people to try, and you get feedback. That's the key thing, fast iteration. You have an idea, you build it, you send it out there to real actual users, you test it, and you see, okay, it has potential. If it doesn't, you see that totally no, like no one is interested, no one wants to use it, then you either kill the project, unfortunately, but life goes on, or you potentially revamp the idea completely. This is very often happening in startup world, right? Or you potentially see that your users like it, there is potential, but they are not using the features that you expected to be the most important ones, but they are using something or in some different way that you didn't expect, right? So imagine the beauty, because you just used no code, you didn't waste your time and energy and money, but you got feedback, and right away you know exactly what matters. And then you can build these extra features in hours or days to release again and test again. You get feedback again, you iterate, get feedback again, iterate, until you get the product that really changes lives. And have in mind, this applies not just if you are an entrepreneur, a startupper, and you have a new idea. This applies also to the CEOs out there who have big companies, who are leading big companies. Because I believe the worst thing you can do as a CEO is to take your brightest minds in your technology team and to make them build some app that you have no proof that it is really needed or necessary, right? Leave your brightest tech minds to work on some really difficult solutions, not creating buttons and user input fields like this, right? Use no code, test that idea. If it works, if you need something more difficult on top, then use developers team. Then hard code the solution, right? Or maybe you will see that actually you don't even need developers team because no code is totally enough for this application and it simply works, right? Thank you so much. Any questions? Any questions? Yes.
Hi, thank you so much for your talk. We talked about prompts. If I use the ChatGPT question like this, I get the normal ChatGPT. Can I include a prompt in the question so that I can personalize my, yes?
Absolutely, absolutely, yes. So how the prompting works is, as I mentioned, you are testing different ways, right? How you type in the prompt itself. But then in the prompt, you can also put dynamically data from your user inputs or your database, right? So let's say I have examples of apps when I send a prompt and I tell, okay, your role is, and I type in this and that and that. Your customer or user's name is, and then I dynamically put from the database logged in user's name, right? Your user selected this topic, and I dynamically put topic from the database what user selected, right? So you see I combine in the prompt when I send it to artificial intelligence like a combination of text that I type in as a developer and dynamic inputs to make sure that it achieves the necessary result. Cool? Perfect, thank you. Any other questions? Yes, here, madam.
Hi. So it's a technical question about Adalo. A little bit like a website and the hosting. When I create an app, the content of it, is it mine because I'm paying for this, or it still belongs to Adalo?
So it's hosted on Adalo Cloud, right? But they are not interested in that content, and you have it. It's yours, right? It's hosted by them, but it's actually even what's the word? Encrypted, right? So no one else can reach or see it. So therefore, you shouldn't be...
You shouldn't need, for example, in the future to move it to another provider or something.
If you wanted, you can download it, yeah, and you can then delete, so Adalo doesn't have any access, right? And then your developers can take that data and build a new application or use a new tool. So this
So it
wouldn't be
still
an
belongs
issue.
to me. Okay, perfect.
Yes.
Thank you
yeah.
so much.
Perfect. Question there at the back.
Hi, my name is Vishal. I'm from India. My question is, if we already have an app which is like a coded, like say Laravel, PHP, or whatever, right? Can we, for the next upgrade, make an app using this and then sync the two?
You have two ways. One is to create a new app from scratch using no-code tools like I just showed here. Another way is actually you can use the API, this like connection that you establish, on your existing software, right? So what you do, just like you get your developers, as we just send this letter from Adalo, you get your developers to send this letter through an API to artificial intelligence. So actually, if you have a developer team, if you have your product, you can easily use same approach, same logic to implement features, artificial intelligence features on your app. It's not a problem. You can create text, you can create images on your app, you can use generative AI for videos, you can use AI for recommendations, much better recommendations on your application, much better search performance. The opportunities are limitless.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, there is a hand out there.
Hello. I do real estate, and we have to tap into the MLS, which is private information. Is there any way we can create an app that taps into APIs that are private or owned by the government, for example, to gather data? So if I was thinking to create an app to search the perfect home across the world, compare certain features by price per square meter, but some of the database, they have to pull information from, it's private, or you have to access it in a certain way with a membership. What would be a way around it?
Perfect. So the answer is, if there is an API that is open, sometimes it is for free, sometimes you may pay for access to this API, but if there is an API, that's by default, it's a connection. That means if you see a word API, it means opportunity for you to establish the connection. If there is some data source and there is no API, then you will probably need to be creative. Potentially, you can use, let's say, data scraping. In some cases, I use, so there are like really good tools when you tell that, okay, scrape data from these websites, from these social media platforms, right? And then it does, like a robot is going through the website, collects that data and saves where it needs to be, right? But then how it would work, it would be a bit different. So it depends on a case-by-case basis. Question there? I still have last seconds. Let's do last question. Faster, 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 faster.
My question was about the database. Now, if I understood right, the database is actually in Adalo. Is there a possibility to link this to our outside database on Airtable, for example?
Yes, very good question. Yes, yes, there is a possibility. I have some apps on Adalo that purely they just use Airtable as a database. I have some apps that use Adalo database and take some information from Airtable. You can build also a Adalo app with other database providers like Sano, and there are many more. So yes, sky's the limit. Okay, thank you so much. My time is up. Thank you.
Great job.
Thank you.
So thank you for joining us for the AI Summit. Now, one of the big questions that you guys are going to be thinking about right now is, where do I go from here? How do I start becoming an AI-enabled entrepreneur? And what we wanted to put together as Mindvalley, the world's foremost transformational education company, is a curriculum and a program that actually puts you in the top 0.1% of everyone who's leveraging AI in your field. So as I mentioned on day one at the summit, most people dabble in AI. They maybe follow an Instagram account, they try to look at these 90-second reels and try to figure things out. And a lot of this is useful, but there's so much deeper. Becoming a true master means going beyond just dabbling. It means being able to think strategically about AI, understanding how to bring AI at different levels of your company, understanding how to become an AI-powered CEO or founder or executive. And at its most advanced level, it's becoming someone like Vykintas or Dominic, an AI evangelist, someone who can look at any company, any team, any individual, and figure out how to make them 2, 3, 5x faster at what they do and increase the quality of what they do, both quantity and quality with AI. And that's what this is about. Could we have my slides on screen, please? So I want to give you an idea of what our AI Mastery curriculum is about. And we were so excited when we announced it yesterday because half the spots got filled in the first 2 hours itself. So I'm so enthusiastic and so excited to see almost 270 of you already enrolled. So the goal is this: become a master of applied AI and cut your current work week from 5 days to 4 or even 3. Now I want you to think about that. What would life look like if you had an extra 1 or 2 days a week? So in Jan 31st, when I started dabbling in ChatGPT, I thought as a founder, this is probably going to be neat. It'll be another tool, like maybe, like how Google Docs was when it emerged. I wasn't prepared for what would happen. It wasn't just another tool. It was a revolution. It changed the way I work. Very rapidly, 2 extra days a week of my life freed up. And as I went even deeper in ChatGPT, beautiful things started happening. What is life like when you have 2 extra days a week? Now, I'm the founder of a company that does over 100 million in sales. My life is fairly complex. With 2 extra days a week, so many beautiful things that I couldn't do before, I could now do. That stack of business books on my bedside table, and we all have that. I could finally read that. I could travel because my company practices remote work. I could afford to get an Airbnb in London for 10 days. Work from London, meet inspiring people, check out new startups and new ideas, expand my mind. I was able to launch not 1, but 2 new products, the first of which already did close to 2 million in sales. All of this because of extra time. So to many of us, I know many of you are entrepreneurs in your blood. You love what you do. So going from 5 days to 3 days, you're thinking, well, I'll fill that time anyway. But now you get to fill the time with what you want and not the day-to-day processes or drudgery that sometimes saps your energy. All of that, we let AI, we let tools like Airtable take care of it. So it's massive. 1 to 2 extra days of free time changes your life. It changes your health because you can go to the gym more. It changes the way you connect with your children, with your spouse, with your friends. But also, as you free up these 1 to 2 days a week, you give yourself security. You give yourself a moat. You give yourself certainty because everything in the world is about to be disrupted by AI. Peter Diamandis said, as much change as we saw in the world from the year 1900 to 2000, we saw between 1900 and 2016. Remember, the iPhone, Facebook, YouTube were all released. And as much change as we saw between, 2000 and 2016, we see between 2016 and 2022. And then he made his biggest prediction. Between 2022 and 2026, in 4 years, we will see a century worth of change. That is as much change in the next 4 years as the entire 20th century. And this is going to disrupt everything. This is why Diamandis went on to say there will be 2 kinds of companies at the end of the decade. Those that are fully utilizing AI and those that are out of business. So now, this is life or death. Even if you're a coach, I'm sure you've started seeing videos go out, the end of coaching. Because with Meta's new open source tool, if you learn to use that as a coach, you can coach 10 times as many people, and it's almost like one-to-one as a coach who is not using AI. But you got to know how to use this new open source tool from Meta. And so AI is going to change everything, even if you're a business of one. It's about surviving and thriving, right? So here's how the program works. The first thing is this. It's a 6-month curriculum to put you in the top 0.1% of CEOs, founders, execs using AI. Leadership roles, where you can now bring this to the rest of your team. The second thing is it's 50 hours live with AI experts. It's not recording, it's live. And these live calls happen on Wednesday and Thursday at 4 p.m. London time. That's around the morning time if you're on the West Coast. It's evening if you're on, say, Hong Kong or Singapore. But the calls are recorded and you get the recordings for 1 year. Next, it's 2 hours a week for 25 weeks. The curriculum is adaptive, which means that as new technologies, as new tools emerge, we actually adapt the curriculum to meet this crazy rapid pace of AI invention, right? So, but it's 2 hours a week, which is very, very, very doable. So for example, in a given week, you might go deep into one of the tools. Let's say Adobe's tool for image generation, the one that Dominic showed, and you learn all the different applications for the tool, how to create an account, how to get better access, how to start using the tool, how to merge your videos together. You go deep. And all of these tools will slowly by slowly empower you to become better at what you do and do it faster. Now, you also become part of a community of people committed to AI mastery. Everyone is connected in a community software and in a WhatsApp group. And for the first 270 people who have already joined, congratulations. I'm so excited that you guys jumped in. We had 500 spots, 270 already filled in the first 2 hours. And I can't wait to see more of you guys come in. You're joining a group of people who are so committed to changing the way they work and changing their business by mastery of AI. Now, why Mindvalley? So we're the world's leading transformation platform. You can go to stories.mindvalley.com, and you guys know this because you're here at Mindvalley University. 20,000 case studies of how Mindvalley has transformed lives. Recently, CNN did a feature on us, not because of some PR agent, but because Zain Asher, the correspondent on CNN, had her life transformed by Mindvalley education. She wanted to do a piece on Mindvalley. And you can watch this video on the front page of our website. And Zain Asher actually said, Mindvalley changed my life. So you're learning AI from a company that specializes in not just dumping knowledge on you, but actually changing the way you think so you go through, as Zain Asher said, a transformation. Even Naveen Jain, the AI pioneer, Naveen worked on some of the early protocols for AI. His partner at Vyome was the head of AI at IBM Watson. Naveen Jain said, Mindvalley is building the next Harvard or Stanford of our time. And while we're talking about Harvard or Stanford, I want you to keep this in mind. If you get a deep AI education today, that's like coming out of college with a Harvard or Stanford degree in terms of the leading edge advantages you will have over everyone else. If you graduate from Harvard or Stanford, you have an edge over any other college graduate. If you learn AI right now, you have an edge over everybody else in your field. And I believe that edge is the same as having a Harvard degree and graduating at like 22. So the class starts August 16, total time 2 hours a week for 6 months. It's a deep program. We're with you for 6 months because things are changing so fast. And the reason it's 2 hours a week is because we want to give you implementation time. We calculated that 2 hours a week is the perfect amount. Now, after the first 2 to 3 weeks, you will already start buying time back. I predict that after week 3 or week 4, you will actually have more time freed up than what you have right now. You'll start seeing those time savings. And by week 5, 6, 7, you are actually now seeing your workload get smaller and smaller and smaller. Now, I know you guys, it doesn't mean you stop working or you switch to a 3-day work week. You'll just start going into other areas, which is awesome. Make more money, create more products, learn more, gain advantages in what you do. But you're gonna start seeing more time free up in your life. Now, the live call schedule is like this. It kicks off August 16. End date is end of Jan 2024. Trainings are Wednesday, Thursday, 4 p.m. London. And this is what the curriculum looks like. So this is really important. The curriculum has 3 parts. The first part is bringing AI into your workflow and company. This is 20 hours. And there's a lot that we cover here. A lot of the stuff that you learned in this summit, we go deeper into these things so you can directly apply them in your workforce. Now, let me give you an idea. McKinsey did a study and found that the average knowledge worker, and almost everyone watching is a knowledge worker, the average knowledge worker wastes 1 day a week, 20% of their time looking for information. Think about that. Now, what if you built teams, companies, processes where you're using Airtable and well-structured data architecture to organize all of your information. And then you're using AI to retrieve and make sense of that information. You learn that in that first 20 hours. And immediately, as you start deploying this attitude to your team, 20% of unnecessary work digging up information disappears. Today, if a member of my team says, Vishen, we're doing a conference in Dubai, and we want to cover the topic of health and wellness. Who are the best speakers you know? I just have to click a couple of buttons in Airtable, and I can do an analysis of every conference we have run in the last 13 years. Every speaker out of 2,000 speakers, their ratings and what they got on stage, what topics they covered, and what market they resonate with. And boom, I know what speaker to choose. And because of this, meetings, like unnecessary meetings, wasted time on the phone, all disappeared. As a CEO, I literally put my brain into Airtable and then work with Vykintas to build algorithms to connect all of the data so my employees have access to my brain without having to actually get in a call with me or shoot me an email. So I'm not on Slack, I'm not on email. If people need me, they use WhatsApp, but I deliberately try to be hard to reach because I want everyone to tap into virtual vision, which sits on Airtable. And all of you will learn to do that too. That's just in the first 20 hours. We go deeper into that in part 2, AI for executives, founders, and CEOs. I'm so excited about this one because it has changed my life as a CEO. I'll give you an example. I had to fly to Mexico to meet with some experts in building and designing hotels because my dream is to build a Mindvalley resort where people can go and go through these transformative experiences. While I was meeting with these world-class hotel builders, I was using a tool called Agent GPT, which plugs into ChatGPT and acts as virtual employee. And I assigned it the task to figure out where should Mindvalley build a hotel, what would it cost, what numbers and metrics and KPIs should we be looking at. When I got the output, now Agent GPT gave me the output in 2 hours, my meetings took 2 days. What we came up with was only 20% different in terms of EBITDA, startup costs, number of rooms we should aim for. And what was funny was Agent GPT came up with the exact same 3 locations in which we should build a hotel as what our human beings came up with: Costa Rica, Mexico, and Bali. It was interesting to see how so much of the thinking that was happening in a strategy session could also be replicated on Agent GPT. So if you are running board meetings, if you learn these tools, you can validate your data, validate your assumptions by using AI tools to improve upon the decision-making capabilities of your human. It is fascinating. Now, the last one is become a chief AI evangelist. This is where you can build apps super fast. When we were launching Mindvalley University, which is a big project, it's actually happening right now, 2 weeks over, 1 more week. It's a 3-week virtual, a 3-week campus, physical campus that thousands of people come to. We needed an app where people could browse speakers, rate speakers, give their input, apply if they wanted to be a speaker, see what parties and events were going on. Vykintas built that app using Airtable as a back end and Dalo as a front end. He built it in 14 days flat. And it works better than professional apps we'd have to pay, in one case, $16,000 for. Now you learn how to use this. Now maybe you don't want to build an event app. Maybe you want to build an app for your social media marketing team. So they're completely in sync with what's happening on your social media channels. They can discuss, rate, and ideate. Maybe you want to build an app for your executive team that can instantly inform you guys of profit, revenue, what are leaky buckets in your company, what's popping. All of these you learn how to do when you become a chief AI evangelist. So these are some of the things that we cover in part 1, which is the first 20 hours. So this is 10 weeks, right? And then one of the most beautiful things about part 1 itself, if you're going into this, if you are not an entrepreneur and you work for someone, or if you're a consultant and you're looking to get gigs, this is what increases your salary. This is what increases your hourly rate. Here's an article that proves this. Prompt engineers are making up to $375,000 a year. They don't require a background check, and nobody cares if you have a college degree. If you know prompt engineering, and if you're a master at it, that's what some companies are paying you right now. It is insane. Any kid who is a master of AI today can get a job earning over $100K a year without a college degree. The world is transforming so fast. Now, the next thing is this, AI for executives. Remember what Peter Diamandis said. Your job as an executive, why you want to learn AI, is not just to create, to do more faster, but to keep your company and business alive. The only way to crush the competition right now is to outsmart the competition by making your brain, giving yourself an upgrade in terms of how you leverage AI as an executive or founder. Now, the final one, Chief AI Evangelist, this one means you can step into any company and transform their productivity and profits. You're basically a superhero in the business world. You can go to any company, look at any team, look at any process, whether it's creating art or creating content or even finance or accounting, and understand how to apply AI to speed up people's work, save them time, and increase company EBITDA. It is a powerful skill, and think how much you could charge for this. And you get a certificate of completion. So this, you actually get a certificate that allows you to go out there, ask for a raise, or start your own AI consulting business. Now, of course, it's 50 hours to get there and 6 months, right? This isn't happening overnight. But those of you who complete the program, this is what you get. Now, this is what the program looks like in terms of time commitment. AI Mastery for Executive Founders and CEOs is 35 hours. And then you got to put in an extra 15 hours to learn how to become a Chief AI Evangelist. For many of you, you may want to stop at 35 hours. You're like, this is good. I learn everything I can. I don't need to build my own apps, and that's okay. Now, this is the pricing for the program. AI Mastery for Executive Founders and CEOs is a $10,000 investment. And then becoming an AI Chief Evangelist is a $15,000 investment. It is very, very, very likely that you will immediately see 50 to 100 times this ROI, depending on the size of business you have and how you apply this. Is $10,000 for a CEO worth knowing that you can save 2 days a week for the rest of your life and also inspire and lead your team in a better way? Absolutely yes. And I think you guys will agree. This is why the program, half the seats sold out in the first 2 hours yesterday. But one of the things we want to do is we want to make this affordable, because many of you guys invested 3 days with us supporting this AI Summit, attending, sharing it with your friends. So immediately we want to bring the price down to $8,000. So the first price was around $300 an hour. Now it's about $200 an hour for a lesson. A single lesson, $200 an hour, is about comparable to what you'd pay a really good what you'd pay for a college lecture at a really good university. Like, for example, the university I went to, the University of Michigan. But what you're learning here are skills that you can directly apply into your work to see results, not skills that are going to become obsolete when you graduate 4 years later. These are skills, you directly apply them and you see ROI. Now, I want you to make a choice of what you think is better for you, right? Are you more into the Executive Founder CEO AI training, 35 hours, or do you want to go deeper and do the AI Evangelist training, which is 50 hours? Which one do you think is better for you? Think about it for a moment. Now, the good news is, to make it easy for you, what we're going to do is we're just going to make it super simple by giving you a buy one, get two option. You invest in any pathway, you get the other one free. Okay, so you don't have to choose whether you want to do the executive path or the Chief AI Evangelist path. Just take the lower price path, we'll give you the other one free. So what this means is, invest in AI for execs, CEOs, and founders for $10K. You'll get the $15K Chief AI Evangelist program included at no extra cost. You don't have to complete it if you don't want to. You can just do the 35 hours, but if you want to, that extra 15 hours, we'll just roll it up. This makes it super simple for you to decide. So I hope you guys appreciate this. And the other thing we'll do is, as a thank you for being part of our founding batch, we will give you guys an extra discount. So $7,999 is what it would take for you guys to get started. So I'm sure now you can see this is such incredible value for money. 6 months to becoming a Chief AI Evangelist, $7,999. And we're also going to offer a couple of bonuses. So for those of you who are in awkward time zones or miss a meeting, you'll get the recordings available for up to 1 year on your Mindvalley app. The second thing, and this is really cool, is you will get action guides. So we will literally give you PDFs, Google Slides, action guides, where after you learn stuff, you have a roadmap to follow. So for example, this would be an action guide for my presentation yesterday on how to create stunning images with ChatGPT plus Midjourney. You can see how detailed it is. This is just one page of a 20-page action guide. But we'll get these guides to you so that it's super easy for you guys to get this out into your workplace and into your company. So this just will allow you to accelerate the speed at which you adopt AI. And finally, if you want a payment plan, we'll make that available as well. It's a little bit more expensive if you take a payment plan, but it's $1,500 a month for 6 months. So this offer is available because we're giving such a huge discount. It's a 2-for-1 special. This offer is available for the next 500 users only. We announced it yesterday at the end of the event, and 270 spots were filled in the first 2 hours. And today we have approximately 12,000 people tuning in live online. So we expect that this thing will be sold out today or tomorrow. So if you guys are interested in joining, then you should simply apply right now. Okay? So while I keep this up there, I will take some questions from the audience, and if we have someone reading out the Zoom comments, we could take some questions from Zoom as well. And I hope you guys sign up, and I can't wait to see you in the batch of 500. Remember, this special offer, the special pricing and discount is only for the first 500, because we appreciate you guys as being part of our founding members. We know that not everything might be perfect. There might be a glitch with a Zoom call. An action guide might have a spelling error. This is normal when you first launch a curriculum. We ask for your patience there, but we want to give you a discount as a founding member. So thank you for that. And this applies for the first 500. Questions? Raise your hand if you have a question. Yes, this gentleman over here.
Thank you. You can hear me? Yeah. I have a question because we were dabbling around in our company as well with this idea. And it seems like, as we are located in Europe, that every good idea was basically torpedoed by the GDPR, that we couldn't use actually the data to make those ideas work. Is this being touched on in this course as well?
Well, actually, more than half our lecturers are located in Europe. Everything we do is GDPR compliant. We work with a really amazing GDPR compliance firm. We have an in-house legal department. And so that is not going to be an issue.
Cool. Thank you.
Yeah. Next question. And if there's someone who can read out the questions from Zoom, that might be useful too. Yes, right over here. Yeah.
Thank you. I'm curious, a lot of my time is focused either on creating cash flow or client delivery.
Right.
And I understand it takes time to make time.
Right.
And so I'm curious, during your transition period, how did you balance your day-to-day and quarter-to-quarter responsibilities with planning for the future like this?
Oh, so one of the things I do, I remember reading a really brilliant book called 4 Disciplines of Execution. And the book is how to be super disciplined at getting things done. And it talks about these 4 principles that effective managers and leaders do. And one of the principles was really interesting. You must make non-negotiable time 2 hours a week to learn and grow. And that time is non-negotiable. As busy as your week gets, you cannot eat into your 2 hours time where you invest in becoming better at your job. So even if you're in customer support, you make 2 hours a week to study how to speed up and improve the quality of your customer support, how to reduce time to first response, how to better communicate with customers. And even if you're having a deluge of customer support tickets, you make those customers wait and you don't eat into your study time. If you consistently do this, you grow so fast, you become so good at what you do that you start reducing the time it takes to get anything done. So when I was an entrepreneur and I was building my first website, I invested 2 hours a week to learn PHP programming. So I could rapidly innovate, test my website. And by having this philosophy, non-negotiable study time, it's allowed me to innovate really fast in every field I'm in. But again, the idea comes from the brilliant book, 4 Disciplines of Execution. And that's also why you notice we say this AI program is 2 hours a week. Because 2 hours a week, anyone can do that. Next question. Raise your hand. So another question is this. How might I share this with my employees? Well, the action guides are designed to make it easy. If you're a CEO or founder, you could share those action guides with your employees. We are also going to, later on we'll announce, we don't have that ready yet, but we'll announce for teams, people who want to bring their entire company into this program, we're going to announce a way that can happen. It happens on a company level, and you guys would basically send our head of business, Ms. Sag, to simply get on a phone call with you, and he can explain that to you and your company. Okay, so that one we're going to be taking care of, but we'll talk about that maybe in a week or so as we start putting the pieces of the program together. Next question, that lady in the white top.
Hi, Vishen. Is there going to be any kind of like community or group for all the students to connect?
Absolutely,
interact?
yes. So when Mindvalley is designing a program, there are 5 pillars of transformation that we put in, right? And some of these pillars are very relevant for the AI program. And one of the pillars, if you want to create an effective program, is community. The concept is called social discourse, getting the students to be able to share with each other. So we will have our own community platform ready around September 15. The program starts August 16, but around September 15, we'll launch the community platform. The first month, we'll just be connected on WhatsApp, and that's when people will be able to share their case studies, their output, their ideas with each other, so that all of us in our AI community can elevate each other and grow. Well, yes, after a class, very often the teacher will stay back for a few moments for Q&A. Okay, but again, it depends on the teacher. Some of our teachers are really major AI pioneers. Naveen Jain, for example, right? I don't know if we can get a Q&A with Naveen. Maybe he can, maybe he can't. But a guy like him, their time is worth a crazy amount per hour. And so it really depends on the teacher. We can't always promise it, but what we promise is the 50 hours. Okay, so we'll wrap up our presentation here. Give yourselves a big round of applause for attending Mindvalley AI Summit. It's been a really fun 3 days. I'm excited to go through this training myself because I know I'm going to learn so much from some of the AI pioneers that we have here. Thank you guys. Can't wait to see you all in the program. And for all of you who are tuning in on Zoom, thank you for making time, for showing up. I know it's a Sunday. So much appreciation to all of you. Take care, and I'll see you in the program.